That's nice, Michael.
That'd be an epic start to the show, wouldn't it? I hope the mic's cut. Quiet this thing down just in case something slips.
Hi, and welcome to the Over the Bars podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast on both Stitcher and iTunes. But if you really like the show, then you can go to patreon.com/overthebars and pledge a little bit of money towards our show. So we have expenses to pay for, and we have cases of LaCroix to buy. So if you want to become a patron to the Over the Bars podcast, go to patreon.com/overthebars. We have multiple tiers on our Patreon page where you decide how much it is that you want to pledge to our show every month. There's 4 different tiers. Either you can just get one set of stickers, just raw regular stickers mailed to your door. Second set is custom stickers, and then the top deal is custom stickers mailed to you every month. Plus, we talk about you on the show. If you want to be a patron to the Over the Bars podcast and help support us continue growing, then go to patreon.com/overthebars. Our Patreon subscribers are Jesse Anderson, Corey Hipp, Matt Meyer, Dan Bax, Chandler Sharp, Josh Hudson, Ethan Sloniker, and Eric Young. As you can see, the list is growing. Let's keep it growing. If you want to be part of the OTB show, go to patreon.com/overthebars. Who's this?
I'm Ethan Sloniker, Bikeworks powered Donnell Suzuki, 250B, 450B, Schoolboy 2, and you're listening to Over the Bars. OTB.
We're live.
Live.
Bart Shiflett live in studio with us.
And I will say this is extremely fancy studio.
It is. You like all the recording equipment that we have and the sound buffering on the walls and
Bob Hanna's in studio.
Yeah, he is. The cardboard cutout of Bob Hanna, life size.
Always looking over your shoulder.
Bob Hanna's just not happy with motocross in general lately. I don't know if you've heard some of his opinions.
When?
I don't know. I read it on the internet. I read what other people say that Bob Hanna says.
Oh.
So that means it's true, right?
Yeah, everything on the internet is true.
Was Bob Hanna not in the announcing booth with you?
Yeah, he was, but he seemed pretty happy then.
Oh.
Because I told him that there was a cardboard cutout of him in our office.
Oh, I thought he was normally mad at the world all the time, everywhere, over everything.
Oh, he was. You're right.
Because they tried to change the face of the jump.
He did get mad about that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be disappointed if Bob wasn't mad about it.
I'll put that in my pocket of Bob Hanna things to be mad about.
Yeah.
So, Michael, as you see here, and our listeners cannot, Bart brought a manila envelope filled with I don't know what top secret information that it literally has a big red rubber stamp on the front that says eyes only.
And we're going to keep it that way. My eyes only.
Here I was thinking I was going to get a sneak peek.
So I'm concerned, guys.
Go ahead.
I've never done anything like this. This is really cool. I mean, like, did you guys patent this? Is this like the first time ever there's been dirt bikes talked about over the internet like this? I mean, nobody else does this kind of thing.
No, sir.
Nope. Okay.
And Von Zipper's not part of motocross anymore either.
Okay. So
that is fake news, sir.
I am concerned. I may really suck at this. I'm sorry. Can we even say bad words or no?
Yes.
Have you ever listened to this show?
Maybe. Because that might have something to do with my big envelope of information here. But anyway, I got a text from my daughter, which she's 13. Maybe she's older than that. But she says, "Are you doing a podcast?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Make sure and give short answers. You tend to talk for a long time, and you need time for more answers. Okay?" I'm like, oh, gosh.
I take it that she's never listened to our show.
Probably not.
And so, did you see the last one with Donnell's motorcycles racing rider? Scott Gebkin was with us.
Yes.
And that went for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay.
So, Bart, we have plenty of time for your long-winded answers, should you have them.
All right. As long as we can maybe take a break here and there to let go of some LaCroix.
Yes. Bart brought La Artois.
Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of LaCroix, Michael, are you ready?
Oh, of course I'm ready.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are we doing this together?
No. No, sir.
One by one?
Yep.
Okay, mine's better than yours. I can already tell.
That was pretty good. That sounded good.
Yeah, it was.
And
I even dented the can.
Bart, you're up.
Okay.
Now, yep. Just like that. There you go. You can tell that's
What a dud can. You guys, do you treat all your guests this way? Mine didn't even fizz at all.
well, yours is an adult LaCroix.
Oh,
That's why I said La Artois, not LaCroix.
okay.
But I mean that is the the true christening of the OTB show.
I'm not thrown out, am I?
You're only more welcomed.
Okay. All right. We're ready then.
I gotta know what is in this envelope. You brought a stack of paperwork.
Right. So we won't go through all of it. Just I want to hit some highlights.
Hit the let's. I mean, what do I need to ask you to start the highlight
You're
roll?
kind of jonesing about this, right?
I've never seen someone bring. I mean, okay, Scott was probably our most prepared guest yet, and that's just because he had two phones with him.
Well, not many people call or contact me, so my phone shouldn't be much of an issue. But as we've discussed before, even though I do sell multiple brands, I tend to favor one color a little bit over the other.
Say it. Say it.
Yellow? So a comment was made in one of the previous shows, not that I listen or anything with all my spare time, but you were kind of bagging on a particular model and some of its problems and some of the issues that it had. So what I did, I pulled up a service bulletin dated November 13th, 2003.
Okay.
One of the things this service bulletin goes over, and it's like 5 pages.
I feel like I need to sit at my desk and get the books out because I know I'm about to get schooled.
But anyway, one of your comments was about your RMZ 250.
Which did not come out in 2003. Bart.
You talking about the 2004 model? What year did you have?
I had the 4 and the 5.
Okay. 2004, they were fairly famous about the hot start plunger seizing up in the carburetor body. It wasn't due to a brass washer and some electrical.
I was too young to understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were close. There's some probably process going on between different metals having a corrosive action. So basically this manual touches on your hot start plunger sticking in the carb body of your Kawasaki RMZ 250.
Okay.
This whole bulletin, and you can keep the copy to read through because it's pretty cool information. And we have 5 pages of exactly what happens. And basically, there is a rubber boot over the cable protecting the plunger from contamination and debris.
And the rubber boot is on the outside of the carburetor, correct?
Of the carburetor, where the hot start plunger goes into the side of the carb body.
Okay.
So the problem is, in knowing your dad and his maintenance and upkeep and everything like that, he cleaned your bike. It always looked great. Everything, he was on it.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't you washing it. I know it was Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay. So with lots and lots of car washing, maybe didn't use the right chemicals, but the water would run down the cable past the rubber boot. The rubber boot wasn't tight enough, and it would get into that plunger. It would cause a corrosive action going on, and it would seize the hot start plunger in the carb body. Unfortunately, it would normally seize it in the out position. So, yes, you had an air leak, massive air leak, lean condition, bike pop, crackle, carry on, no good.
So let me ask you this. What was it? Was the corrosion coming from the cable or?
No. The corrosion was coming from like the brass plunger and the aluminum carb body. Those two different metals with water, with his, I don't know, Mike, what was you selling him for nice car wash soap at the time? Whatever it was, it created a corrosive action when the water and soap material ran down into the carb body.
Okay.
So, back to the bulletin. 5 pages to describe the problem and the parts kit to fix that problem. The parts kit, if we filled out all the paperwork, submitted the warranty claim, the parts kit was free, and through all the paperwork, all the labor and everything, they would pay us 0.2 hours to perform this fix.
Which is that even 20? That's not even $20.
Less than that at the time.
Right.
So the parts kit was this nice Suzuki parts baggie with a zip tie. The zip tie was about maybe 3.5, 4 inches long. It told you how to put the zip tie around the rubber boot, tighten it up tightly, and then trim the excess off so the water couldn't run through the rubber boot past the cable and into your plunger of your hot start. Okay, so we've got 5 pages. I just wanted you to be informed in case this came up again. Now, along with this is another update campaign. And mind you, I want to blame all this on another brand because that was in cahoots with Suzuki to build this motorcycle. But there was another update campaign that had to do with the air filter cage.
Did it have the screen in it?
Correct.
Okay.
Do you know what that screen is for?
To prevent backfiring to go into the flammable air filter.
Correct. Have you ever had an air filter catch on fire?
No, but it sounds like hell on earth.
Here's what my dad taught me. The one time it happened to me, I told my dad my bike won't start and there's smoke coming out of the air box. And he said, hurry up, get on the bike. We got to get it running. Yeah. He said, we got to push start it, whatever. We got to get the bike running and suck that fire out of the air box.
Yeah.
Okay, what if I catch on fire? No, we got to get it running.
Yeah.
This was at KCIR years ago. So get the bike running, sucks fire out. After you get done racing, throw that air filter away because it's going to be burned on the inside and start over. So anyway, there was a problem with the air filter cage on some of the early models, and the air filter didn't fit properly around the cage. So the guys would clean their filter, just throw it back in there, not inspect things. And in the end, the motor would suck some dirt. Guess what? The valves would go away.
Right.
It's not because the guy revved it too much. It's not because it was a total piece of crap motorcycle. There was a problem with the filter and the filter cage, and the thing would suck dirt, and guess what? Your valves go away.
Right.
So even today, 4-stroke maintenance, throw everything out the window if you want. The number one most important thing, make sure your air filter, your cage, everything is done properly.
I don't know if you know this, but that was one of KP Badwrench's tech tips.
Really?
Was air filter maintenance is penultimate to keeping your motorcycle running. Without a clean air filter, I mean, the bike's sucking dirty air into the engine.
It seems like one of those most basic things, but like people overlook it. Everything with air filters, though. Like,
right.
Not just bikes.
Speaking of air filters, I've got two right now that I would grade as below satisfactory that I'm using, and they're both twin air. Not that I have anything wrong with twin air. Personally, I'm a uni guy, but both of them were KTM OEM parts, and they come pre-oiled. Well, I use biodegradable oil. The twin air oil that is pre-sprayed on is not biodegradable. So in order for me to clean the filters those first times, which I know that the twin air stuff now that you buy is biodegradable, but the pre-oiled twin air is not biodegradable. So I was using my biodegradable soap specific for biodegradable oil, and it actually wasn't even cleaning the filter as well as it should have been.
So did you end up with the white goo mess from hell that you can't like get out of the filter? Or is that, am I thinking the other way, where you have a petroleum-based oil? No, where you have no toil, water-based, and you try to clean it with, that's what it is. That's the problem. And you try to clean it with a petroleum-based cleaner, like part solvent.
I've actually never done that, but I've heard.
Oh, boy. You just want to throw the filter away and start over.
So, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, you're talking about this. Talking about throwing filters away. Do you remember the no-toil disposable filters?
Oh, they still...
Are they still around?
They still, yeah.
Okay. My dad is so set that you cannot clean an air filter. He 110% believes you cannot clean one. He still, to this day, throws air filters away. He won't clean them. He just puts new ones in.
Wow.
Now, on his Mako, on some of the Makos, because those filters are specialized and a little more expensive, he does clean those. But he bought my last 450, he bought 3 cases of those no-toil filters.
Were they no-toil or Ready filters?
Ready filter, that's what it was, not no-toil. Ready filter. Yes, Ready filter.
Was Ready filter a spinoff of Maxima?
I don't know the answer to that.
Because their logo looked very similar, and I thought that it said that it came pre-oiled with Maxima product on them. I could be wrong, though. I could have things mixed up.
So the Ready filter thing, to me, is like, man, this is the greatest invention in the world. Why didn't I think of this? And kind of a name from the past a little bit. Not many people remember Mike Rice, but I'm surprised he didn't invent that. I think he would buy 32 filters to start the summer with just so he could do it one time and not have to clean them.
Yeah.
But I didn't have as much faith in the Ready filters. They maybe were 100% perfect, but filter construction, thickness, the way it went around the cage and all that stuff. I'm pretty old school on it.
What I didn't like about the Ready filter is they would, hang on the shelf in the stock room at the dealership, and some of the oil would seep to the bottom of the packaging naturally, and it would cause the lip of the filter to have a spot in it that held more oil. And because that was also biodegradable oil, Mike, do you know what's in biodegradable oil?
Probably not oil.
No, it is. It's vegetable oil and alcohol.
Are you sure Ready filters was biodegradable?
I think that it was.
I thought it was all petroleum-based.
Well, the reason that I say that, I don't know for sure. But the smell of it, I could swear that it had that alcohol smell. and the consistency of it was more like the biodegradable than the petroleum.
But the thing is that the petroleum-based filters, and I'm not an expert on this, but the petroleum-based aerosol sprays, all that stuff, typically uses more of an aerosol disbursement or uses, an alcohol-type disbursement to thin the oil, and then that evaporates out and goes away.
Yeah.
And the oil, the thick, gooey oil stays there.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I thought the Ready filters were a petroleum-based oil, like we would clean them in the solvent tank, not over in the soap and water.
Right, yeah.
Whatever. But honestly, I don't get much call for it anymore. Guys are typically buying the no-toil product, or still old school, gooey, throw the rubber gloves on.
I use the rubber gloves even with the no-toil. Well, I don't use no-toil. I use Uni. They have a biodegradable oil. I like it. I prefer it over the no-toil. Number one, because with the no-toil, you have either the pour-on application, which is red, or you have the spray-on, which is green. And I just saw that no-toil has a green pour-on. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it.
I just saw it on their website the other day, and it looks cool. It just looks like slime. I don't know what it is, but it's a neat-looking product. Anyway, the no-toil aerosol is kind of expensive, but let's just say a 10-ounce can. The Uni, it's like 18 ounces for the same price. So that's why I go Uni.
Do you know in RC cars how you pick what kind of air filter oil you're going to run?
How?
By the color. The air filter is very visible on a nitro RC car.
Yeah.
So I always picked whatever color matched my paint scheme. So the green stuff you're talking about, I used that simply because it was green.
Really?
Mm-hmm. True story.
Well, how big are your...
My dad always used red.
The air filters that you're running, how big are they? What does it take? Like one... and it's...
Yeah, a little smaller than the puff pad.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think red oil, though, makes those RC cars go faster than the green oil. I've heard that.
Are you being serious or facetious right now?
If there was yellow oil, would it be even faster than red oil?
Be big words in this.
There's been times where I've said words to Mike and he just goes blank face on me.
That happens quite frequently.
Yeah. So this is about the hot start plunger. Now, my question is, did Suzuki ever come out with a service bulletin about the tendency to slip into false neutral?
No.
What year was that?
Pick a year.
Yeah.
Was that two strokes too? As in maybe like an 05 RM250?
Possibly.
So I might not totally be to blame for my half a lap at Kingsville on my brand new bike, hitting neutral on the road jump, going over the bars.
Did you have new boots on?
No.
And the bike was brand new?
Literally, my dad said, roll the first lap. This is a brand new bike. And I was like so pepped to get it that I went out and ripped the first lap, and I made half a lap and hit neutral on that road jump. Watered up and came right back to you and bought a subframe.
So typically, false neutrals, transmission issues, it can happen with any brand. Suzuki definitely has been, that has been one thing that's been kind of through the years. But they've also been known for having a really nice transmission. They shift through the gears good, and it feels good. Mm-hmm. I think there's kind of a little bit of give and take. If you want it to work super smooth and nice, then the engagement dogs on the slider gears maybe aren't going to be cut as deep. So sometimes if the slider gear goes over, it doesn't lock in there all the way. Maybe it's going to come out easier, possibly a false neutral or something like that. But typically transmission issues and stuff like that, I don't see false neutrals and problems on brand new bikes. A lot of times the guys with the brand new bike maybe has the new boots, missed a shift, didn't get it in all the way. But have we seen it? Yeah, I've got stories.
The verdict is in, Michael. It was your fault.
I don't believe that. Now that we mention it, I was not a squid. That was totally the bike.
Yeah, whenever I broke my leg, that was a false neutral on that 2004 RMZ 250.
Did you know, has it ever been brought up that Kawasaki made those gears?
No.
Oh, it hasn't. Okay.
They did.
Huh?
Were they manufactured at the Kawasaki plant?
The whole bike.
Oh, really?
The whole bike.
But did both of them come out at the same time, or did the Kawasaki come out first?
Kawasaki came out a year earlier.
Okay.
And then the Suzuki went a year longer.
Mm-hmm.
Still, on the VIN tag would have manufactured by Kawasaki Motor Corp.
So that bike in specific, that was the only steel framed 4-stroke that I owned. And as you may know, I am a huge advocate of steel frames. Now, I'm not going to say by and large, broad strokes, they're a better frame, but for the way that I ride my motorcycle, it works better for me. And that was the only 4-stroke that I ever had, even with that bike came with Kayaba suspension on it, didn't
Correct.
it? Which I found myself to prefer Showa over Kayaba, typically. Everything about that bike worked really, really well when it worked. But there were times, hiccups that the bike would have. But the thing is, that's going to happen. Every new model is going to have its, not lemons, but small issues. I feel like.
You know what the greatest thing of that whole merger deal, that whole partnership thing was?
What?
All of you guys had KLX 110s, and my dad would not, to this day, will not buy a Kawasaki. Wouldn't buy anything that Bart didn't have.
Yeah.
And Suzuki finally came out with the 110. They had the DRs. So I finally got a 110.
Yeah.
And that was about the same time that pit bikes were on their way out. So I was like, yes, I finally get a pit bike.
Let me throw one thing. Let me throw something in on that particular bike, and then I want to back up. Don't let me forget on your new bike point that you made. So the 110 comes out. They announce these shared models that we're going to have. And for those that weren't maybe in this scene, this was kind of back, a lot of this started 03, 4, 5, rolled in, a couple of things maybe rolled into 6, no, about 5, most of it was done. But it was not quite a Chevy GMC deal, but it was Kawasaki and Suzuki, their R&D and development departments were a little bit behind. They both needed models in certain segments. So they got together and they said, okay, you give me a couple of these and I'll give you a couple of those. And I feel like as the Suzuki dealer, we got shorted on the deal. At the time, we were selling Suzuki LTZ 400, the little sport four-wheeler. We were selling them really good, real good. Kawasaki now has a KXF 400 four-wheeler, sport four-wheeler. It was a green LTZ. We still get a lot of them in for work. But that was a pretty good margin, kind of a moneymaker. It was a good bike for us. It was a good four-wheeler for us. Sold lots of them, sold lots of parts, good filing. Anyway, they get that. Based off that same motor, there was a DRZ 400S, a dual sport bike. Good bike for us. Didn't sell tons of them, not like the LTZ, but we sold them. Good bike. Kawasaki gets the green version, the KLX 400, whatever. And they get the JR50, and they get the LT50, and they get a lot of these pieces. So I'm pretty fired up. We get the DRZ 110. We get the cool pit bike. Finally, we got a good pit bike. And I get the information on it. I'm looking at the price list, and I'm going, well, crap, this is terrible. I could sell 100 of these things and not really make much money.
Yeah.
So I have a customer come in right off the bat. He says, hey, I see the information on these 110s, when you're going to get them, whatever. And I said, well, we're supposed to have them by the end of the month. He goes, great, I want one of the first ones. How much is it going to be? And I said, well, man, it's going to be this much money. And he goes, well, wait a minute. I can buy this same thing from the Kawasaki guy up the road for $125 less. And I said, okay. I said, in fact, you could probably go buy the bike from the Kawasaki dealer. Come back here. I'll sell you a set of UFO plastic for whatever, some yellow plastic, throw you some stickers to put on there, and you'll still be money ahead. And he goes, well, why can't you match the price? I said, because it costs me more than what the Kawasaki retails for.
Yeah.
He goes, no, it doesn't. And I said, well, it does. I said, I'm telling you, go buy the Kawasaki. I said, because I can't sell it for that. So then I call a Kawasaki dealer buddy of mine. I said, hey, pull out your price book. And not only was it was either $100 or $150 less on the retail side, but based on their invoice price and the retail price, they made about $50 more than we did. So I'm like, okay, we're getting the short end of the stick on this.
Clearly.
So then we got the RMZ 250. We got the basically the 65 motocross bike. We got the 100.
Yeah.
Which we had the RM85, but we also got the KX100, RM100. Compared to the models for a dealership that are kind of profitable or, a little bit of the moneymaker as opposed to some of the stuff you do as your passion or your hobby, whatever, we definitely got the short end of the stick. It didn't work out good. But at the same time, we needed that 250 4-stroke, which in turn is part of my other paperwork, the 2-stroke, 4-stroke debate, and some of this other stuff.
Oh, I can't wait to unpack that.
Okay. So that's enough about the 110. Back up to what you said about
new bikes.
New bikes, don't buy the first year. They're going to have issues or problems.
I didn't say don't buy the first year. I definitely did not say that. As you can see, I own a first-year motorcycle right now.
True. Ton of changes on that model. Ton of changes.
I'm curious on the new Honda. I hope you touch on that here in a minute.
Okay. But what I have seen through the years...
Hold that a little closer to you. There you go. Yep.
Through the years, typically, the Hondas, the Suzukis, the Kawasaki's, Yamahas, they didn't just start developing that bike last year.
Right.
It's been in the works for sometimes 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the mechanical bugs, things like that, reliability issues or whatever, are worked out of it. That's not to say that after a year of magazine reviews, rider reviews, everybody's like, hey, we don't like the way this suspension valving works. We don't like the linkage ratio on the rear end, how it works. And then sometimes the next year it comes out with something set up a little better. But this isn't like what it was in the 70s where you have a new bike come out and then all of a sudden crap's breaking and there's issues and problems.
Right.
Honestly, what I have seen, and I love it, I love development, I love change, I like updates, I love, progression in the sport with the product, with whatever. Currently, the company that's doing the most change more often, sooner, and tends to be above the competition right now is the one that we see maybe more technical updates, recall bulletins. Hey, this may not go wrong, but we need you to check this part. So look at these parts and let us know that's okay. Kind of same goes on a whole different spectrum. Polaris right now basically is killing the side-by-side industry. They sell tons.
Isn't it crazy to think not even 7 years ago, the only side-by-side you could buy was a mule?
Yeah.
Literally, they're killing them. Now they're catching on fire.
Okay. Brings me to my point. If Can-Am, if somebody steps up, has a new model with a little more horsepower, with a little more wheel travel, Little better chassis. 4.5 seats as opposed to the 3.25 seats. Whatever. The next season, you can count on it, Polaris has an answer to that, which I love the progression. I love not sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But at the same time, I've got lots of friends, lots of people I know that have Polarises that it's like, hey, you guys going riding this weekend? No, mine's broke. And it's electrical issues, it's chassis issues, it's whatever. And I think to stay ahead of the market, the consumers like to have the newest, latest, greatest. But I think Polaris is maybe one of them that jumps out there too quick, too fast, and doesn't have some problem solved. The Japanese companies that I've dealt with through the years, you normally don't see that. You don't see that kind of response. You don't see that knee-jerk reaction where it's like, we have to hurry up and come out with this so we're the next, latest, greatest, best, whatever. Honda has even stated publicly that we don't want to be the fastest. We don't want to be the highest performance, for the most part, in any category. They don't feel like in the best interest of the consumer, that's always the best thing. But as a dealer, as an enthusiast, I want Honda to have the fastest thing out in everything.
Right.
And they're capable. They're capable of engineering that and doing that. But a good example, the Honda 450 motocross bike. I mean, obviously, we're here as motocross enthusiasts. That's what we like. That's what we do. Business-wise, that's a small part for me. But I'm passionate about that. I like that. I don't like when Suzuki or Honda are getting rated last because they have the slowest motor. Well, the new Honda 450, Honda, I think, against their better judgment, they made more horsepower in that thing. A little more of a hit, if you will. I've had a couple of guys say it wears them out too much. They kind of wish they'd have left the motor more like what it used to be, what they were used to. And it's age-related, 100%. Yeah. The younger guys like that hit, like that horsepower, like that responsiveness, but yet some of the vet guys, and I should say, I guess, maybe the majority of the consumers sometimes are buying more than they really need. Has he said that before?
Not only have I said that, but Grumpy Greg
stated his gripe for last week was too many underskilled riders are able to buy overskilled bikes.
You do know that Grumpy Greg's not like that dumb old man that you normally play him off to be, right? He's a well-versed, very knowledgeable.
I will not admit that.
I know that he is. I'll say it on your behalf.
So the no hair, no air slogan, everybody should play by that rule.
If you have no hair on your head, no air.
No air.
I adhere to the thought process or the school of thought that the bikes have, although they are more technologically advanced than ever and, better performing, I don't know if they're more fun. For me personally, it's not more fun to ride a 450 because a lot of the art and the challenge is lost whenever you have that much torque and that much available power in second and third gear and manageable power. Whereas my bike, it takes finesse and it takes technique and it takes skill that you don't really have to have on a 450. Now, as much as I love the what it takes to ride a two-stroke, I'm also my heart is going in the exact opposite direction towards electric bikes and the Alta because no clutch, no shifter, no oil, no gas. You know, it takes away a lot of those controls where, you know, on my bike, I have 5 gears and not only do I have the ability to control the power with the throttle, but I have the ability to control the power with the shifter and the clutch. So you essentially have 3 elements working together. Whereas on the Alta, it's literally just twist and go. Will it bring more enjoyment to me just out on the track? Who knows? I haven't rode one yet. But it will bring more enjoyment to people, entry-level riders. The average person that, I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, yeah, I rode a dirt bike once and I wrecked it into a fence?
My wife.
It's very common.
Okay, hold on. Well, first off, real quick on that, having watched it in our parking lot numerous times, take the clutch away, take whatever away. If somebody, the first basic thing about riding a motorcycle that we all know, we don't think about it much, but the new type person doesn't know. When you're cutting across the parking lot or across the field and the tree line's coming, we know you just kind of lean the bike and it goes the other direction.
Right.
A lot of people, especially in a panic position, they're trying to turn the handlebars. It don't turn. You have to lean.
Yeah. Yep.
We that's simple for us. It's not simple for everybody. So then what happens? They panic and freeze. Mm-hmm. It's not, all you got to do is pull the clutch in, have the throttle wide open if you want, pull the clutch in, everything stops.
Right.
Panic sets in. You whiskey throttle the thing wide open into the tree line, through the brush, over the, whatever. Yeah. So somebody learning to ride, they are going to whiskey throttle the electric bike, and maybe worse, because that throttle response, I haven't played on the Alta, I've played on quite a few of the Zeros.
Yeah.
And it's there.
Yeah,
and it's instant.
I know that. I think that, okay, so yes, you've got me there on that one. That the initial throttle response on the Alta is you got a lot more power, a lot quicker, with less things to get you going fast. Whereas, you shift a dirt bike into first gear, you're not going to get over 15, 20 mile an hour.
But here is the cool part. If Brittany wants to try it again, Mike's standing there by the bike, takes his phone, dials the power back with his phone to nothing. So it putt, goes as slow as you want it to go. Now, what I wanted to bring up, which I think that obviously is our future. I think it's coming. It's going to happen. You had started a Facebook post, Instagram, whatever, quite a while back when Hill did Good at Straight Rhythm on it?
Yeah.
Okay. And basically, what I remember the post, it was basically kind of the savior of riding because it was going to open up any local park, BMX track in the middle of the city. We're now going to be able to ride our dirt bikes.
Yeah.
The problem we still deal with, and it's going back to the whiskey throttle across the parking lot. I just watched a current video of Hill playing around. Just watched it today or yesterday, jumping down the neighborhood streets, up the streets, and then back on a track, and it's incredible what he's doing with that bike, and it looks good. But he's still going to get hurt on it.
Yeah.
You mess up, it's still going to slam you in the ground, especially if you're got this 70-foot, 80-foot triple, you're going to wad up.
Yeah.
So all these city officials, hey, these nice, quiet, environmentally friendly motorcycles, they're going to have this thing out here, and all of a sudden people's going to come whizzing way over their heads, and you're going to wad some guys up in the corner, and there's going to be a bone sticking out or whatever, and we're going to all dust off, hey, it's great, it's part of it, let's get fixed up so we can do it again. And they're going to go, whoa. We don't want you guys here. This is dangerous. People are getting hurt. We have to, solve some of the liability issues, insurance issues, whatever, if we want the cities, the state, the counties to open up places for us to play, to ride. Personally, I don't get the same kind of a thrill or excitement out of pedaling a bicycle on a mountain bike trail as what I do of riding my dirt bike.
Right.
Number one, I'm too out of shape. I'm too old. I don't enjoy that. But even if I was in shape, there's still something about riding a dirt bike when you hit that berm right, when you hit that jump right, when you clear that rock section right. It gives me a real sense of satisfaction that I really don't get much on doing any other sport or activity. So we need more places to be able to do that. Right now, one of the biggest issues we deal with, Jackson County has tons of acreage around.
Yeah.
We need something to take care of liability. Yes, I believe the Alta's got its place. It's going to be good. We need it. But we still have other issues.
What I like most about the Alta, other than the fact that it's assembled in America and they use a lot of American parts on it, and it being an American company, is that they are doing something that set KTM apart. Is they're innovating something. And I think that, honestly, and not very many times will you hear me say this, KTM kind of dropped the ball on their electric bike. And I don't know if it's because they were focusing their attention on other things, but it seems like their electric bike that they had was closer to the Zero than the Alta. And that the Alta is a purpose-built motocross bike. But then they also have, what I love about it is the same exact chassis with a few different modified parts or that's in their catalog to have a supermoto bike or to have a flat track bike or a multi-terrain
Endurocross.
bike. Endurocross
Woods bike.
Whatever you want. What I want Alta to do is break through and say, look, we're here. We're in it. And then the other manufacturers, the same way that Yamaha did whenever they introduced the most recent or reintroduced four strokes into motocross with the 400. Keep that on, remember. I want Alta to do what Yamaha did to motocross with four strokes. I want them to do that with electric bikes to four strokes. Or what four strokes did to two strokes, I want electric to do to four strokes. Not that I have an agenda against four strokes. It's not what I really, they're not bikes that I like racing.
So along that line, and I think this could be a little bit of a lead in to my other stack of paperwork. One thing that Zero did different than Alta is they went after the what I would call the bigger demographic.
Yeah.
One thing about the power sports industry is we tend to be very passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And I was having a discussion with a guy today, and I'm like, if this guy rides a Honda Africa Twin, one of the new adventure bikes.
And they have is there a 250 and then a...
No, that's a different deal.
Okay.
The Africa Twin is similar to Big Jerry's adventure bike.
Okay.
1,000 cc, made to kind of go down the gravel and dirt and whatever. But they have two versions of it. One is a standard transmission and one's an automatic transmission. Well, you or I, neither one are probably going to want the automatic transmission, right? I mean, we like to ride motorcycles because of shifting and the mechanics of it. We're all very passionate about it. But you can probably sit there on a street corner and watch two guys almost get in a fight over why one bike's better than the other bike. They tend to be very passionate about it. Us sitting here in this room, are very passionate about motocross. So we want the coolest, latest, greatest, most innovative motocross thing there is. In my mind, for Alta to survive as a manufacturer, as a company, when it comes to production volume and everything like that, in my opinion, they're going to have to maybe branch out and do something different.
Did you see that they announced publicly that they got a $27 million loan or not loan, but an investment program. I don't know.
Wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah, who it's from or where the collective money has come from. But somebody, as a firm, has put $27 million into Alta.
I believe that as electric bikes start coming around, I believe it may not be the manufacturers, but I think you'll see somebody somehow develop like a clutch system to give you that the pop out of corners and
goose,
like starts.
The L1 goose?
Yes, exactly. Because I believe it or not, I've read very little complaints from like the people that have ridden an Alta or racing an Alta.
Yeah.
But the number one thing that people have a hard time getting used to is not the shifting, but like the starts and coming out of a corner wanting to pop it. They don't have to. They don't need the clutch because it's got the power right there. It's instant. Yeah. But just that feeling and knowing they can go into turn and pull in the clutch, rev it a little bit, and then pop it. It's totally different riding style.
It's like okay. So for me, that's something that I love on the 2-stroke because if I don't pop, give it that little bit of feather and release.
Yep.
My wheel spin will be real bad. Whereas on a 4-stroke or a 450 especially, you have a little bit less of that. So I understand that. Absolutely.
My biggest problem? No sound. It's weird. It is so weird. All you hear is chain.
The Zero that I rode at the Letco parking lot, that's... You don't realize how windy, how much wind is blowing through your helmet until you're going 50 mile an hour and there's no motorcycle sound.
No motor sound.
Yeah.
No sound, you hear brake pad sound.
Yeah.
You hear obviously the chain sound, chain slap, but it's different. It is strange.
Yeah.
Obviously it's what you get used to, and it's incredible though. Instant power, no hesitation, it goes.
So on the Alta, it comes with 4 maps, and I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, if I was going to race an Alta, and they have, you can adjust the mapping on the fly, and they have that 4th map that's like 100% gnarly power. It's like, why would I not start in the 4th, because, if the 3rd map is supposed to be like a 40 horsepower 250F. Well, if I don't have to shift, that's a major advantage right there because there's no, so on and so forth on the starting line. And then if I can run full volume battery output for, if I can't do it all moto, whatever, but if I can do it for the first 3 corners, then why not? Why not run it full bore?
I just saw a video of Andy DeBrino. He's an RC guy, and I don't know if he rides for Alta or if he's works for Alta. I'm not sure the whole thing there. Mm-hmm. Local race up in Oregon. Looked like a pretty full gate of 450As.
Yeah.
450A riders. Mike Alessi style hole shot. On his Alta. On his Alta.
On the 250F powered.
Yes. I don't think he ended up winning that moto, but it just displayed, if you're used to it and you know how to get a start on that thing, how much power is there.
That's awesome.
I think the main thing when it comes to the 250F thing, the way I understand it, the way it was explained to me is that 4th mode hits harder, as hard, if not harder than a 450, but it tops out at 250 speed.
Okay.
That's the way I understand it.
Okay. Yeah.
And you obviously greatly reduce battery life.
Yes.
How long a moto and then it goes back to most guys may not be able to ride one of those things on. I think they can truly make them to where they would be almost unrideable. The thing's going to wheelie over backwards and they can do that. But then you shorten battery life.
Well, it's the same thing as a light switch.
Yeah.
It's a dialed light switch essentially. I mean, if you just flip the switch to 100% capacity all the way on, full circuit, then it would be uncontrollable.
This whole transition is it's ironic to me because although they're so far apart, we recently saw like this whole thing in RC car racing where nitro was the way to go. Now electric's moved in. Electric came out, everybody was like, I don't know. It took a couple years. Now it's taken off. All the major manufacturers have it. And just like I was talking about with the bikes, guys were like, well, I don't like this instant power. Like, it doesn't feel like a nitro car.
Yeah.
So now they've developed clutches for them.
Really?
Which makes it feel just like, so a guy that's running, because you can run both classes, so a guy that's running a nitro buggy and an electric buggy, now he can use the same setup and the car feels exactly the same because he has a clutch on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And obviously with an RC car, you don't shift, but.
Right. So before it would have been essentially the same thing as riding a 125 and a 450 on the same day.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of 2-stroke, 4-stroke, nitro, electric, which is more maintenance, less maintenance?
Oh, okay. Nitro is more maintenance consistently in the RC world. That's what drives me away from it. Is it's just constant work and it's dirty. Like, I mean, it's
you have an engine.
Yes, and it's just, I mean, but it's more maintenance than the electric. But when something goes wrong with electric car, for instance, like a speed control, they don't typically just quit like a nitro car and you fix it. They typically like catch fire or or blow large amounts of smoke. Or
so, are those made by Polaris?
Very possible.
So it's more catastrophic failure.
Yes, I would say so. I mean, okay, so a nitro engine, like a top dollar engine for a nitro car, you're talking $500. And it may not have the lifespan of electric motor, but when you set up an electric car, oftentimes when you put in the $200 battery with a $200 speed control with a $200 motor, and the risk to reward with electric cars, it's a little more risky. A lot more seems to go wrong with the electric cars than the nitro cars.
Yeah.
In terms of catastrophic failure. But on little failures, the nitro stuff, the gas stuff is always, because it's all, we don't have fuel injection in RC cars. So the tuning will change mid-race in a 15-minute race.
Speaking of fuel injection, have you heard from Husqvarna if KTM plans to roll that over to Husky, their fuel injection? Or
yeah, and I am getting a lot of questions on that. TPI,
yeah, which is not. I know it's not fuel injection, but it's
but it's as close as what it's close as what we're going to get.
Yeah.
And I have heard a little bit of whispers. It's obviously, I don't know this because I don't follow sleds and stuff, but this is not brand new technology. Right. But basically, in the transfer ports of the cylinder on the 2-stroke, there's on each side of the cylinder, there's going to be an injector, kind of a wide fuel rail, and there's an injector on each transfer port on the side of the cylinder. The throttle body, or what you would refer to maybe the carburetor, where the carburetor is, the throttle body is nothing more than a guillotine or a butterfly type valve in there that is air for the air fuel mixture. And then in front of it will be basically a hole or a port for the oil injection. The oil injection, no more mixing race gas, no more pre-mix. It will have an oil injection tank on it. That is on the first bikes that come out. We don't know on the motocrossers yet. We don't know that. But the off-road stuff is definitely going to be a oil injector. It's going to be cleaner, more efficient. And along that line is why the first year, the U.S. market's not going to get many of them. Mm-hmm. The majority of the production is going to go to the European market. They've got some new
emission standards.
Yeah, going into play. So all of the 2 cycles are having to be cleaned up. Also, what I was kind of told, the 300cc off-road bikes, KTM, Husky, whatever, it's a very, very important model for KTM and Husqvarna to bring out. Yeah. They want it right.
Yeah.
You talk about the first year, glitch, glitter, whatever. They've been running this thing for a while. It's nothing super duper brand new, but majority of the production is going to go. So the first thing that we will see and KTM will see will be the 250 off-road bike, not the competition, not the XC, not the TX, not the TC or the SX. It's going to be the I can't even remember the KTM designate.
XCWE.
Right.
Yeah.
And the TE two-stroke enduro for us on the Husky side. Going to be in limited numbers. Prices going up, but it's funny in the two-stroke, four-stroke argument. A lot of times, my biggest problem with two-strokes, my first initial reports that I've read, this fixes a lot of the things I don't like. I don't like the tinkering with jetting. I don't like starting my bike up on choke. Yeah, going down to the starting line, worrying if it's going to foul plug by the time I get to the starting line, then have to go wing it out behind the gate to get it cleaned out. And then did they hold the gate? Did the thing load up? You know, do I got to rev the piston? You know,
this sounds like a vintage race.
Yeah, right. And then not what you do, Jeff, but you know, we go to John's house. You know, I love riding at John's house. You've been there. I go to John's house and I rip around that super, super technical, big supercross jump track.
Yeah.
Not really, but.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then I duck into the woods.
Right.
And it's like, stop, wiggle your handlebars through the trees, tight, really slow. Mm-hmm. Real technical rock sections, uphill, downhill, different stuff. Then I jump back out on that motocross track, go to whack the throttle. If you're on the two-stroke, you just lug your way all the way through there, lug. You come out, and it's killing every mosquito in the 3 counties, surrounding counties, and you got to clean it out and about do a Larry loop out on the first jump when it finally comes on the pipe.
Yeah.
The new system supposedly eliminates all of that.
Okay. So it essentially normalizes between the two. Would be a...
Yeah, it turns that two-stroke into a four-stroke, so...
Yeah.
3-stroke. Okay, no. I don't want to sound dumb. What was the system that the old JR50s had? That had the little tank in the back that allowed you to put straight gas on a JR50?
Yeah, the oil injection. So oil injection is...
So we're not even on the same level.
Yeah, it is. And somewhat. The old JRs, the old TSs way back in the day, it was kind of a mechanical oil pump, and it just, a lot of times you were getting a little more oil than you needed, and you fogged up the neighborhood, whatever. This is electronically metered, and some of our betas have that on them already. They have oil injection, oil tanks on them. And basically, for the most part, what they're kind of saying is that the new KTM and Huskies, it's going to be basically kind of figured around an 80-to-1 ratio. You know, it's cleaner, more efficient. Yeah. It's going to be putting more oil in there when you're wide open, but not when you're off the throttle idling. Yeah. Where an old school mechanical pump still running, still working oil in there, this is electronically metered and should be more efficient and cleaner. So my problem with it is now you've taken away some of the simplicity of, having the carburetor on there. And also, what's everybody's biggest deal on a two-cycle? They like that it's still a little less money and maybe a little easier to work on. So if you have the bike not running quite right, or it has a little blinking light on the dash, I don't know if they have any kind of indicator light, but if there is an electronic issue, now you took away the... hey, my dad's a TV repairman. You guys probably don't even know that. My dad's a TV repairman. He's got a toolbox. I can fix it.
Yeah.
So now you're getting into the electronics, hook it to the diagnostic tool, and what sensor, what may be wrong. It still should be a pretty simple system, but a lot of people's argument still with the two cycles is easy to work on, less money, less moving parts.
I'm on board with it as long as it's the electronics are like an open platform type software where if I buy the motorcycle, it comes with a not a disc, but the little USB thing that I can plug into. I don't know why they just don't nix. Well, I do understand. Personally, I would rather have a thing that I can plug into my computer that would have the manual where I can just type in, let's say I'm looking for the torque setting for my seat bolt, where I could just type in seat bolt torque. And then it would just pull it up immediately instead of having to go through all of the, information in the back of the book. If they could come out with a little wiring harness where you just plug your phone in and you've got, or your computer, and you just plug it in and it tells you right there, this is what's wrong with it. And it gives you either this needs professional service, take it to your motorcycle dealership, or it says, here's what's wrong with it, here's how you can order the parts, or it'd be like now I know that this is really dreaming, but imagine like if you had a software system like Amazon One-Click, where whatever was wrong with the bike, is if it was considered like a B-level job or something, it shows you, here's what's wrong with it, here's what you need to order, you push the button, 2 days later, the parts show up at your house.
That whole thought right there, I just solved it.
Okay.
I just solved the problem that we were talking about, the liability problem. They have those things that you plug into your dash, your car, and like your parents can set like, this car can't go over whatever.
Yeah.
6 miles, or it alerts your mom and dad.
The problem is the kid's smarter than mom and dad. He's already figured out a way to beat that. So,
but, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Though?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like I could put an app on Brittany's bike on my phone, and as Brittany's riding along, it's like, she's heading at that double. I think she's going to try it. And I'm like, nope.
So kill the engine.
Yep.
It's like whenever you go, okay, here's a perfect example of where that's already a real world application is whenever you go and race the electric go-karts.
Yep.
And you're running into people, they pull the cart, they push the button on the computer software, and then
not
it
if you
kills the
slip
cart.
them 100, they don't.
Well,
he knows that from experience too.
But if you're playing by the rules, then they do have control.
So what you're talking about will happen with the Alta.
Yeah.
That and a lot of that software-based type stuff and connectivity and what you're talking about, even Zero is doing a lot of that stuff already.
Yeah.
Plug your phone in or Bluetooth your phone to it and diagnostic stuff and everything. So, number one, I'd like to get Big Jerry on the phone and ask him as a get your hands dirty, jump in there mechanic. I want to ask him, having tore him down, done everything, does he want all of his diagnostic information on his laptop sitting on top of his seat, or would he like to have an old school paper book sitting there?
I'm not saying that we should eradicate the manual. I'm saying that let's say that you get 15 bikes into your dealership of one model, but you order the manual separately to where you'd have like 5 of them on stock. It would be an option. You see what I'm saying?
Old people pay for being old.
Well, no, you wouldn't have to pay for it. It just wouldn't. They would say, do you want the software or do you want the book?
Oh, you could up your docking fees.
Oh, boy. Okay. There's a couple of questions here that, or there are a couple of comments made that kind of directly relate to a question that I had or that was brought up on a Facebook post about the future of motorcycles, whatever. But one thing I want to bring up, what you were talking about on, you would like to see this bike to where KTM would allow you to take your 2-stroke, your direct injected bike, plug it into your Mac, plug it into your phone, and have it give you a rundown of diagnostic issues. Your TPS, your temp sensor, your this or this is not working correctly. The readings are wrong. Replace this part. Amazon drops it at your doorstep and with a drone in 3 hours, and you're back for your second moto.
Right.
The problem is in a lot of real world scenarios, even when we hook something up and get a diagnostic reading on something, it still isn't what the problem is. Or you could have something else going on that's making that give a false reading. And so what ends up happening, yes, I believe in the future a guy like me is going away. The mom and pop shop that likes to have their buddies come by and hang out and do whatever. there will be a time and a place when we're all riding electric bikes. You hook it to your phone. You don't even hook it to your phone. You hold your phone next to it.
Yeah.
And maybe it reflashes and fixes the electric bike while it's sitting there, and you don't have to take it to the dirt bike shop to have it worked on.
Right.
I'm going to hate it when our sport goes to that. All the personal interaction. I mean, Grumpy Greg,
whatever. It's all the same.
So I look forward to Grouchy Greg coming in the shop. I may be busy, but you know what? I get up from my desk and say, "Hey, what are you doing? What's going on?" And we shoot the crap, we tell lies, and whatever. I don't want that interaction to go away. And unfortunately, that is happening more and more every day. We always prided ourselves in having stuff in stock. You know, we still do, for the most part. If you're riding an RMZ 250 CRF, Husqvarna, whatever, we try to have kind of the most things that you'd tip over, break something, whatever. But nothing like what we used to. A lot of that interaction, a lot of that need for that has gone out the window. Things have changed. The business has changed. A lot of things. And it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep evolving, and things are going to keep changing. But what I hate from it is the old days. I don't have some of the guys come out to the shop and hang out as much and talk as much as like what they used to. My dad was always good with that. Always, greeted everybody at the door.
Yeah.
Talk. How'd your race weekend go? What's going on? How's your new bike working? You like it? Don't like it? What do we need to change? Whatever. Some of that has gone. And when it comes to electric motorcycles and get your repair kit out of Amazon and whatever, all that's going away. Hopefully, I'm at the time I can be retired and done when that happens.
Well, okay, now here's a direct connection to that. Mike, when's the last time you went to your RC car dealer?
I'm the wrong person to ask for that because I am a huge advocate for RC tracks don't usually survive by themselves. They always have a hobby shop. So I'm a huge advocate for buying as much as you can at the local hobby shop so that you have a track to race at.
Yeah.
But I see where you're going with that. Yes, the hobby shops they are your bare parts now. Everything's online.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's
you buy cars online now.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to go. I realize you're talking Apple. You're not going to buy a bike and have it shipped to you off motorsport.com.
But it's going to come to that.
You think?
I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though currently there's state laws on licensing, titling, paperwork, things like that. Eventually, when the manufacturers see, or whenever the first guy steps up and does it, when the first manufacturer steps up and does it, I could see a point in time when guy gets online, picks out his new 2023 XYZ, picks what options he wants, has it built, put together, and shipped to his doorstep. Currently, right now, every manufacturer we deal with, it's very, very critical that we do what they call a PDI form, pre-delivery inspection. We do some bikes very minimal setup. Some bikes are pretty involved. Of all things, let's say, take a CRF 450. You put the handlebars on it, you put the front wheel on it, you put the front fender on it, front number plate, and pretty much gas it, check the spokes, air the tires, check the oils, it's good to go. CRF 50, on the other hand, you got to put the foot pegs, the handlebars, the levers, the fenders, the front wheel, the shift lever. It's a endless list of nuts and bolts and things that you do on them. And what I don't know how long it'll take, but at what point is there going to be, I keep bringing up Amazon because they're the ones that's, obviously kind of setting the tone of things right now. But at what point are you going to trust the dude working at Amazon that just pulled your CRF 50 out of the crate and the front wheel's not going to fall off of it?
And just before that, he built like a Huffy bicycle.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't see any difference between what you're talking about and having like a, let's say you order a brand new GE washer online and have it delivered to your house, which you can do. And then if it breaks, or to set it up, you have a GE repairman come to your house.
Yeah, but when your GE washer that breaks, your clothes are wet. You're not dead.
Well, no, I understand that.
Like
but
your front wheel falls
okay.
off.
Other things will have to change. Like right now, your GE washing machine pretty much comes in a box and it's in one piece.
Yeah.
If you've seen some of the things that come into our shop, they're in a box and it's like, oh, brother.
Yeah.
You know, currently right now, Talon is starting to work for me at the shop a little bit. And he's helping in some of the setup and prep. It's where I started, push the broom, whatever it takes. And, you know, he'll come up front and I say, hey, I don't know if it takes the long bolt, the short bolt, whatever the bolt, you know, this washer, does it get a washer, not a washer, whatever. I'm like, okay, fire up the laptop, get in there. There's directions. You know, every nut, bolt, screw, it tells you where it goes and how to torque it and, you know, all that. If I get a new washing machine delivered, my biggest thing I got to worry about is if I cut my finger off using my razor knife, getting the cardboard off the thing.
Yeah.
And then I got to plug it in. Or I got to hook up the water hose to the washing machine. And do I have new hoses? Or are they going to blow out and soak down my laundry room? These things, I've questioned some shops before. I'm like, holy crap, who put this thing together? And how does this shop get away with this?
Did you see Nick Peterson's post that he made?
Don't know what you're talking about. So I will say this. One of the worst things as far as how the manual is and everything to set up, believe it or not, is an RM85 out of the box. I've obviously, between Tyson, Talon, everybody I've dealt with, RM85s plenty. You know, we've raced them a bunch, been around them a bunch. Suzuki had a program back in 2008 that Suzuki was trying to help all dealers out. They were doing a great job. And what they were doing, they were trying to help. This was when all the motorcycle industry was taking a dive. I mean, they were jumping off the big cliff.
Yeah.
So Suzuki set up a deal. They would pay to transfer from bikes from one dealer to another dealer. They'd pay the freight. They would pay the one dealer $100 to let the bike go. The dealer that took it, they'd give $150 to. They're basically saying, okay, we know you maybe don't want to let go of your inventory, but we're trying to clean house. If it's non-current, we want it cleaned up. So at that time, let's see, I think that was still when Austin Fortner was still riding for us. And I was going through a bunch of RM85s, a bunch. Mm-hmm. Tyson, I think, was riding them even at the time. No, Tyson had just gotten off them, but we were going through a bunch of them. Had a bunch of kids riding them. So, not naming names, but there's a big name racer guy that his family owned a dealership down south. And my rep said, hey, we can get you a couple of RM85s out of here, and I wanted a VL 1500, and I wanted this. I said, yeah, I'll take them all. There literally was 28 things that I put on like a warranty claim of bolts missing, washers missing, stuff in the wrong place, stuff messed up on an RM85 set up out of the box. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how does some places get away with this?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the biggest shop. I'm not probably the most profitable. But at the same time, I'm back there getting greasy, getting dirty, you know, setting a bike up, doing things just because I want to stay involved. And we try to take pride in what we do.
Yeah.
Does something slip through the cracks? Is there a mistake made once in a while? Yeah, it's kind of hard not to goof once in a while.
Human error is part of everything.
But, you know, once again, at what point, because not every RM85, CRF 50, Goldwing, everything, not everything's going to be assembled, made, built here in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a perfect world if it was. Stuff is still going to come from overseas. You're not dealing with your washing machine, like Mike said, that it's going to hiccup, you know, spew water out on the floor, but it doesn't maim you, harm you, whatever, as opposed to they didn't put the cotter pin in the front axle, whatever, the front wheel falls off, throws you over the bars, what have you.
Ask Greg Garrison about that.
Has he had that happen before?
He forgot to put my steering stem nut on my KX65. My handlebars went right, and my front wheels went left in the whoops at Kingsville.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Where did you get that KX65?
I have no idea.
Mine was used.
I have no idea.
Take a guess at whose bike it was.
Did it have a steering stem nut missing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't buy your 65.
Was it spray painted white?
No, it was not Zach Evans's.
So it wasn't Zach Evans?
No.
I don't know.
It was Trent Simpson's sister's first bike.
You rode a girl's bike.
I did, yeah. But mine was all green. It didn't have the purple because mine was a 93.
You probably added the pink to it, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You bet he did.
Yes, all the pink and purples and oranges and all the stuff that I could put on it. That bike was cool. I had a cool 60.
Since you're going down memory lane real quick. Mm-hmm. So in my dad's office is the picture from Playground Magazine of the start at Dragoon.
The crusty veterans.
Yes, with your dad, my dad, and Rick Tuning.
Yep.
We were in there today and helped my dad clean up a little bit, even though it doesn't look like it. And I never noticed this, but Brittany pointed out that your dad was 25 on a KTM. Right next to him, in the office, hanging on the wall, is a Marvin Muscan poster of 25.
Oh.
Your dad was ahead of his time.
I never thought about that.
Yep.
And my dad wore UFO gear, so he was super
yes.
Euro.
So Marvin Muscan, I believe, at this point, saw Jerry C. as a young child somewhere in the Playground Magazine and was like, that's my goal in life.
Hey, let me...
I want to be that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you like to do Hot Topics, but an alternate version of Hot Bart questions?
Can we do both? I have everything.
You have Hot Topics?
I have everything.
I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah. But let's do Hot Bart.
Let's do Hot Bart.
Okay, so...
Hold on, wait, let me cue the...
Okay, yeah,
the intro.
do it.
Hi guys, this is Josh Hudson with Fox Racing, and you're listening to Over the Bars podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Unfortunately, I'm sure we're going to have to hear another race report from Jeffrey.
No, we didn't.
But it will all be worthwhile when we get to hear from Mike Garrison and the Hot Topics.
Yeah, the volume was kind of wonky there. I'll adjust that.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's what post-production's for.
Right, exactly. Okay, so our updated episode of Hot Topics, we threw out a little last-minute Facebook post for people wanting to ask questions to the legendary Bart Shiflett, and we got a lot of response. We got a lot of questions. So we're going to go through them. Are you ready? Bart,
go ahead.
Can I ask one question first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you guys tweeters?
No, I'm not a... Nope.
No, I have one because the cool kids have one.
Right. So I kind of do too, but when you try to look at something, it always takes you right back to Instagram. So why don't just eliminate that step?
Just go straight to Instagram.
Yeah, don't mess with that.
I agree.
Okay, anyway.
Okay.
I'm an old guy, so I Facebook.
But you like Instagram. Instagram or Facebook?
No, Facebook.
No, you like Facebook better?
No, I read Instagram. I don't, and I should post, publish, whatever. But no, it's
I saw
Facebook.
a picture of your goats on Instagram.
That was probably my daughter.
That could have been Talon's on there a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just... I've got one that I'm just going to throw in there because I really want to know.
Yeah.
Hunter Clements asks, what was your secret to always win slow races?
Honestly?
Yeah.
Old gentleman that worked for my dad and my dad. Austin Cathcart and my dad. They are old dirt track guys. They didn't give a crap about hitting a jump. They didn't give a crap about how fast you could or how big a double you could bust, and none of that. It was about bike control, good balance, and being able to do everything smooth and easy. So when the old guys sat around the old shop drinking a cold beverage after work, they were always coaching me, timing me, seeing how long I could sit still on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And there was always a challenge. There was always something. And so anytime we had a little get-together, whether at Dad's house or wherever, they would always throw in a slow race. Yeah. It was part of it. Mm-hmm. We don't want to see how fast you can go. We want to see how slow you can go.
I always did. Nide always had slow races at his motocross camps.
Yeah.
It's some of the most fun racing you do.
He's old school.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
He's old school.
It makes sense.
Yep.
We can go ahead, Michael.
That brought me to a question. So how much you could not move on a motorcycle? Who would you say, and I'm asking you this too, Jeffrey, around here has the most unnecessary movement on a dirt bike? And this is it could be current racer or like racer from years ago.
I can fire one off real quick.
Go.
Nick Metcalf did a lot of unnecessary movement on the bike. Now, part of that was also that Nick was like 6'2", and literally only wore jersey, pants, boots, so his gear would flop in the wind. He always struck me as the kind of guy that had a lot of extra going on when he rode.
Yeah. But he was fast.
I learned how to scrub from Nick.
Natural talent till no end. So, along that line, I'm going to throw somebody under the bus.
That's what I was hoping for.
But I'm also going to give him praise on multiple accounts. Brandon Yates.
Okay.
Dude is awesome for me, awesome for the business, awesome for Suzuki motorcycles. The dude bleeds yellow like I do. His mom, his dad, they're awesome people. The kid is fast. He's improved tremendously. He's going through an unfortunate knee injury.
Yeah.
But he's one guy that I'd like to say, hey, dude, do less and save energy.
Yeah.
I'm not coaching him. I'm not teaching him. He's got some really good guys that are doing that. But when I watch him, he seems to be moving around on the bike quite a bit. And moving the bike around quite a bit. And whether it's scrubbing, I don't even, whatever. The kid's hauling butt. He's doing good. What he's progressed, what he's accomplished, what he's done, getting Suzuki support, it's incredible. But at the same time, and maybe it's the old school in me, I want to go out there and slap him beside the helmet and say, hey, calm down.
Yeah.
And I don't know, one time Talon, when he was young, he's out there, hey, come watch me out here on my bike. I'm like, okay, he's hitting this berm right away. No, he's throwing a heel clicker. I'm like, dude, go work on that corner. I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
But I'm old school. Yeah. And like I say, the Brandon, his mom, they're awesome as far as promoting the brand, promoting me, doing everything the right way. But honestly, it's one guy I'm like, man, you seem to be working around a lot. Save some of that energy. Because in my opinion, sometimes, Nick never trained.
No.
He just went out there and rode on natural ability.
Yeah.
So he started moving around too much and wasting some energy. At the end of the moto, you'd see it.
Yeah.
Brandon is in awesome shape.
Yeah.
He's still moving at the end of the moto, and he's rolling and going and getting it. But I'd like to see him smooth that out. Smooth.
I think it's my opinion. I have two. One is calmed down. One, I have no idea where he is in the world. Both named Luke. Luke Stolfus and Luke Smith. Do you remember Luke Smith? Luke Smith more than Luke Stolfus.
I remember specifically, I remember watching Luke Smith be in the most aggressive attack position ever in elbows to the sky, and his back would be flat with the seat.
Yep.
And that guy, whenever he would jump, I swear he would slam the bike down when he landed.
Exactly.
Never seen anybody else do that.
Nope. And Justin Bogle did not invent leg swag. Luke Smith.
Luke Smith had it for sure.
Invented it. But Luke Stolfus is another one. Love the kid. But he works so hard on him. He looks fast. Whether he's going fast or not, I don't know.
I don't remember that out of Luke Stolfus.
You don't remember that?
No.
Not on when he was on a RM125 maybe? I just remember at Grain Valley he had a lot of gyrations.
Yeah, when he was riding the novice class, he did do a lot.
Now he doesn't do that.
Yeah. I think that comes with age.
I'll throw this out here real quick on Luke Stolfus, too. So through the years, a lot of times I get asked by the parent, hey, can I drop our bike off? Can you do this for me? I'll leave the kid, have the kid help, whatever. Not everybody offered to leave the kid to help me. They'd say, hey, can you help me out with this with the bike? Marty would always say, hey, I want to drop the bike. We got to get ready for Whitney, whatever. Can you check it over, do a top end, and I'm going to leave Luke to help. And, as the guy, you're always thinking, okay, the kid's going to be off looking through the magazines and, sitting up on the showroom floor. Luke was one of those kids that it didn't matter what I was doing. He sat right there and say, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And he'd look over and he'd go, hey, can I empty that trash can? The kid was awesome sitting there helping.
Yeah.
And it makes those situations where you're trying to help somebody, trying to do something, as a guy doing the work, it's really appreciated. I mean, it was cool. It was good.
I did not know that.
I got to give Marty and Stephanie hey, come on. Luke's gotten his own trouble, whatever. He likes to have fun. But when the work was to be done, and take a look at Merwin right now, I think Luke's busting his butt out there.
Well, that's his baby now.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Bill and the other guy they own it.
My deal is, whether it's Yates, whether it's Luke, whether it's Hunter, if you have the fun, as long as you're respecting me and doing good for Donnell's Motorcycles, for what we like to refer to as the brand, the Donnell's Motorcycles brand.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kids that have done a great job. So anyway.
Do you have something you want to fire off?
Well, I just wanted, we talked about a little bit before the podcast, but we went to Midwest Extreme this weekend for the MoVMX Vintage Race. Mm-hmm. And my dad was thoroughly blown away by the whole facility and the hospitality, and which brings me to a point of everyone there. But Luke was going around in the mule with, I believe it was Bill's daughter, maybe. Mm-hmm. They were literally thanking every single person in the pits for coming, asking, was everything good? How can we improve? I've never been to a racetrack that they've done that.
That doesn't happen very often.
No. And I realized it was a vintage race, and I realized that the turnout wasn't that of a or whatever, but I was like, wow, that was really, and my dad was like, wow, that, I want to come back.
I think that's Bill's business savvy.
Sure.
Showing through, that he's open for business, but he's extremely appreciative of every person that comes through the door and wants to ensure that they have a positive
feeling when they leave.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because if you think about it, in a way, see, a motocross track is kind of a weird medium between retail and service. Mm-hmm. Because really, there's no product that's for sale except for the dirt.
Yep.
And as long as the dirt's good, then for the most part, everybody's going to be happy. Now you can't make everyone happy at the motocross track.
No.
But that is nice to have somebody come over, especially for the MoVMX crowd. They probably don't know who Luke is, so whenever you have somebody wearing the hat and the shirt coming up and saying, hey, thanks for coming.
Yep.
It makes a big difference.
Yep. And it was a terrible day weather-wise and all of that, and they made a very positive day. Moving on.
Bart, you mentioned Hunter and Brandon and Luke, and Sean Rock asks, do you miss the days when Suzuki gave the dealer bikes to support local riders, and who besides your family was your favorite rider you sponsored? Now, if I can just go ahead and interject, I miss the days when Suzuki gave the bikes to the dealerships, and I was definitely your favorite sponsored rider. But
so that's a completely loaded question as far as who the favorite was.
Right.
No, they don't give free bikes anymore.
I know.
Okay. But they do have a pretty decent program. I've helped Nick. I've helped Brandon Yates. I've helped multiple different kids with this program. Understand, sometimes what I do isn't the next pro license holder. Sometimes to me, it may be a B rider, maybe a C rider, maybe a vet rider that does more for me than the next A guy, pro guy.
Well, to give an example, Mitch Gaylord, nicest guy ever, goes to the motocross track by himself, parks off in the distance, sits to himself, just enjoys his own time at the motocross dealership, has no social media presence, doesn't care, he has Letco. And that's the only sticker that's on his bike. My point is, Mitch won the 250H championship in Missouri State Series in 2014, but there was no return of investment on that for Letco. They sponsored Mitch because they like Mitch, not because he was the fastest guy on the track at that time.
Okay, so in part of the process of trying to teach talent, right now, some of the Suzuki support money that I get based off how many RMZs I order. They don't just give every dealer money.
Right.
You have to participate by ordering bikes, ordering a parts package, whatever. No matter what people believe, I want to go racing. I want my son to have a 250 and a 450. I buy them. I don't get them for free.
Right.
Dealers don't get motorcycles for free.
Even if you didn't have, the thing is, even if you didn't have the motorcycle dealership, you would still have to go to a bike shop to buy bikes.
So there was a point when I may or may not have paid more money for Tyson's bike than what Todd Clements did for Hunter's bike.
Yeah.
Based on what I cut him a deal on, what I tried to help with. And, a lot of people don't realize that. They think, hey, you get the bikes dirt cheap, tons of markup, whatever. But I have to be honest, right now, my current rider support, a chunk of the money that I've gotten through Suzuki, through the programs, is for Talon. And Talon is not the fastest guy in the area, but he's improved tremendously.
Yes, he has.
He tries to keep his gear looking nice. He tries to keep the bikes looking nice. That's part of his job. Keep them clean, keep the oils changed, keep the things serviced. And it's always been a little back and forth between us. I say, hey, let's go out to Kingsville this Friday. Well, Dad, I just raced there last Friday. I'd rather go someplace different. No, Tom, you're my sponsored rider.
Yeah.
Donnell's Motorcycles wants you to represent. We want to go to Kingsville. And currently, right now, part of my investment or part of who I've wanted to support, who I've really put some effort into a bike right now is Talon. That's been Tyson before. It's been Hunter. It's been you. It's been, name names. Talon's worked hard without paid for training, without help from anybody other than go ride. His buddies that he likes is Adrian, is Austin.
Yeah.
It's all these fast kids. Mm-hmm. So he wants to get fast. And he's riding good, going fast, being smooth, not hard on equipment. So that's where some of my effort's going to. And it's good return for the shop. So there's tons of good people out there, tons of good racers, tons of great families. I wish I could give every one of them a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to keep the doors open that way. I've actually done a couple of pretty good deals recently with guys that don't even race. Woods play riders, and practice pros, if you want to call them that. Because there's lots of people out there that send business my way, and they may be turd slow. Yeah. They may be out there having the greatest time. You mentioned Mitch, love him, great kid, nice kid. But he's not the outgoing social butterfly that's roaming everybody's pit and talking to every person out there and saying, hey, Donnell's helped me out to cut me a deal. They fixed my flat tire, whatever.
Right.
So anyway, it's right now some of the effort and everything. I can't name a favorite sponsored rider. I can't do it.
It's kind of a bad question. If I was going to reword it, I would say as a motorcycle dealer and having sponsored riders, who did you enjoy the most? I guess that's kind of asking the same question in different words because like with me, with Rip and Ruts, there are customers that I have that, I cut them a killer deal. And it's not necessarily because I like them and I think that they're a great person. It's because they're fast and they have social media presence. I don't get that much enjoyment out of sponsoring that person because I know that they'll drive me business, but it's strictly based off of numbers. And then I have other people that I know. There's a kid in Illinois that I help out with, killer deal. There's one person specific that pays cost, which there's only one person that gets that. He's really not very good on a dirt bike. But after he ordered his first kit, which I charged him full retail, he sent me 4 people that bought full retail kits. And I told him, hey, the next one is on me. Not entirely, but it's, no markup. And I enjoy, and like seeing what the kid says on the internet, how much he enjoys moto, just his passion for the sport. I enjoy cutting him a deal more than I do anybody else. Oh, yeah, there you go. I enjoy cutting him a deal more than I do anybody else just because I know that he appreciates it. Whereas there are some fast riders that because they're fast, they just expect that they're supposed to get a deal.
Okay.
Which, after I quit racing and came back, it's like if I get I got a deal with Fast House. Very, very little off. But I was so amped on it. Just because I was like, oh, cool. Fast House thinks I'm cool enough to give me a tiny little bit off of retail.
So back to Sean's original question. He had a son that went really fast on Suzuki's, did Loretta's, the whole deal. Doesn't live in the area. Oh, brother. He's a guy I met on the internet.
Where are they from?
Did you get catfished?
Sean catfished you.
He is southeast, and I don't know exactly where, but is it, man, oh, gosh, he's going to be pissed if I don't remember his name. Danny, I think, is his boy, but did good at Loretta's, fast kid. They obviously have some support, had some support. I will say a couple of them RMZ deals, double contingency, a couple of them things went to Brian Stone. I wish Suzuki could bring those programs back.
I had it. Do you remember?
Yep.
Yep. That was
because I could name 2 guys. I think you got a double contingency, and I think Brian Stone got it.
Yeah.
I think Brian Stone milked it for all that it could be milked. Between arena cross, outdoors, local events, Missouri State, everything. So
he only raced Suzuki Pang races.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that people don't understand a lot of the times, Stones realize this. Bryce and Brock Lassiter, it's those guys understand it, know it. But a lot of times for me, when a rider, I work with them or we work with them, try to help them out, when they go to turn pro, and I had this conversation with Todd Clements. Hunter's just hauling butts, doing good. He's turning pro, getting his license. Okay, let's discuss next year. How much more are we going to be able to step up support? Discount parts, free parts, bike price, whatever. And I said, Todd, you're losing your support from me. And poor Todd, his chin hits the ground. He's like, Bart, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I said, Todd, the greatest thing for my shop, for me, for my customers, is watching Hunter kick everybody's butt around here. And then when Hunter gets in after the races, he sits down the tailgate, the kids come up, they want to talk, he talks to the kids, this, that, and everything. I said, how many Missouri State races are you going to make it to next year? Oh, well, we're going to hit the circuit. We hopefully we can hit 4. Todd, I need you at 11 of them.
Yeah.
I don't want you at 4 of them. I said, I got to drop your support. I got to throw that money towards Tyson. I got to put some more money into Tyson's bike. He's got to be my man. I said, unfortunately, Hunter's going pro. Even if my Donnell sticker makes it on TV, it ain't going to help me like if Hunter came down and won Kingsville on Friday night.
That's not going to sell parts.
So anyway, in the end, and I will throw this in here because this was part of Sean's question, minus family, minus Tyson, minus Talon, probably one of the best sponsored riders that Donnell's Motorcycles has had. Wasn't nothing to do with me. It was Dad, but that was Joe Burke. As far as good for the shop, always smiling, still is to this day. Catch him in a vintage race. Always just nothing but pro Donnells. And he taught me so much.
Yeah.
Not by sitting me down and coaching me, but by saying, hey, come watch me. Do what I do.
Yeah, leading by example.
Right. And so through the years growing up and when Joe was racing for my dad, I learned a lot from him. He did a lot for the shop. He did a lot for local motocross, I felt. He was great. And to this day, I won't forget when Joe went to work at Freedom. And I said, well, Dad, he's not riding for us. He's going to be on a Kawasaki. I said, why aren't you going to sponsor Joe this year? Because it's your job to beat Joe now. Well, it's like it was thrown on me, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
I don't know, 17, 18.
Okay.
But it went from the guy I looked up to, now I'm supposed to be taking his place, and now we're going to battle. And, still to this day, I can learn from Joe.
Yeah, whenever you were first stepping into that, because Joe was like the hot shoe in Kansas City, was he not?
Yeah. Well, him and Schumacher, and I don't know. There's a list.
Yeah, for sure.
So, old days.
Whenever I first started riding the A class in 2003, and it was Stone, Travis Merrill, Ben Heibel, Metcalf,
Brian Imig.
Well, Brian wasn't. I never raced with Brian. He was.
I just remember he always had cool shift gear because of Jeff.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. There's somebody. Oh, Casey McDowell and Adam Zarda. Whenever I was racing mini bikes, those were the guys that I looked up to, and then I jumped up to the intermediate class, and then we go out and practice, on race day, and I'd pass them in A/B practice. Not all of them, but some of them. Or I'd jump in behind Brian and start going the same speed as him. And then whenever it came time to race, it was similar where it was like, well, shit, now I got to beat the guys that I look up to. And then, Freedom never really, since my existence, Freedom never really had like a guy. And then I kind of turned into their guy. And it's a I don't know how to say it. It's not a weight on my shoulders by any means, but I enjoy being Freedom's guy, and I love sending business their way as much as I can. Damn it, I did it again where I had a point to make, and I forgot where I was going with it.
It's because you're wearing a man bun.
It's sucking all my thoughts out of my head.
Yes.
But it had something to do with you talking about so now that I feel
you're old.
I'm old. Yeah. Now that I'm 28, which is old in A-class standards by all means. I'm 28 and we've got some new talent kind of starting to come up, and it's different now, 13 years later than it was back then, because even 13 years ago, which doesn't seem like that long ago, locally there was the segue of going C, B, A, racing A locally, and then going to the nationals. Now it's more focused on riding the B class for a couple years, hoping to get some type of support, and then going and doing the bare minimum number of races to collect your pro points, and then going to the outdoor nationals as soon as possible and never racing locally. So there is a gap of riders that are missing from the A class now. That's why that's why the median age in the A class locally is 27 years old.
Old guys.
Yeah. Not old guys, but old for the class.
Right.
But I'm not saying that I'm the shit and I'm the man, but I do feel like I've become the guys that I used to, want to beat their ass real bad when I was 14 and I moved up to the A class. I wanted to beat Ben and Brian and Nick. And now I'm the older guy, their age, which they were, 25, 26 at the time. I got a couple of years on them. It was bound to happen. I was wondering when.
Did Mike not say that he shut the phones off?
Okay, so that phone has never rang. That is the car wash phone. That one has never rang. It's always my phone. So I shut my phone off.
I didn't know there were. Who would call?
Do we need to go on an emergency car wash repair service call?
No, we don't.
I've got tools.
Since we're talking about the car wash real quick, you mentioned the car wash earlier, washing the bikes, and
correct.
You know what my dad did today?
What?
He's been in the car wash business since 1971. Okay, and I'm not just saying this because he's my dad. I feel like he is arguably one of the more intelligent based car wash people around.
Okay.
He went to the car wash today, washed his truck, stepped away from it with soap on it to go talk to the owner of the car wash and just chit-chat. They chit-chatted for so long that it sun-baked and ruined every window on his truck. Of all people. And you have no idea how many things I wanted to say to him, but I felt so bad, and I could feel the frustration through the phone as he said, I'm trying to drive to O'Reilly's to get something to take this off my window. It looks like someone poured milk all over all of my windows.
So
that would be the equivalent of you, Bart, like not putting air in your tires. It's worse than that. It'd be like you putting diesel in your two-stroke.
So is Greg grouchy today?
Greg is very grouchy.
Greg's lit.
He is. He is. Okay, we have a list of questions.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll try, as my daughter would say, shorten it up.
Okay, so you actually answered one of them. Mandy Wygant wanted to know, do you have any Donnell sponsored riders, and if so, who are they? You mentioned a lot of them.
No, I didn't even begin to touch on it. And at Donnell's, I don't ever ask anybody to do a sponsored rider contract with me. Mm-hmm. But if the guy buys a bike from me, I try to give him a fair price on the bike. If I know they're racing for us, I give them the discount on parts. And anytime I'm at the racetrack, if anybody that's bought a bike or is a customer of mine, I want them to come over, ask for help, ask for parts, ask for nuts, bolts, tools, whatever. I'm there to help. So Mandy and Chad, awesome people. They're great for us. They run the stickers. Do I have a signed contract that Chad is a sponsored rider for me? No, I don't. But I want to think of him as a sponsored rider. And, I honestly can't remember the situation. And Chad was having a little bike issue. I said, "Yeah, run both your bikes by. Let me try to help if I can." I don't know if it was a graphic deal, whatever it was, doesn't matter. But if somebody comes to the track, and I don't care if it's a race, a play ride, or what. Hey, you need a tube? Come get a tube from me. You lost a bolt? Come see me. Whatever. Need some advice? I may not know it, but I'll try to help. So I do not have a list of sponsored riders. I don't think I could name everybody off. You guys, one awesome kid is helping you. Ethan Sloniker. Dude's awesome. So there's lots of them out there. Nick Peterson's been on your show. Probably one of the best, one of the best dudes ever as far as helping send people my way. And to be downright honest, he's kind of a competitor of mine. He works on bikes. He sells some parts to some kids. He does some stuff and kind of competes with me, and I still don't care. He's awesome. If a guy needs a bike, needs some information, he'll send him our way. He's great. Is he running all the nationals, all the pro stuff? Nope, don't care. He runs a lot of local stuff too. Runs a lot of practice days. So, like I say, I don't have a list. I apologize. I can't name them all. I'd be scared to death to leave some out. That would be a problem. And to every one of them out there, I thank them. It's awesome. If they've got my front fender stickers on, man, I appreciate it. And people don't know, a lot of times at Kingsville, different races, I go down to the starting line and I look up that starting line and I love to see our stickers. It makes me feel good.
I feel the same way whenever I've got my Ribbon Rut stickers on.
Yeah, you see them.
You see two bikes that have Ribbon Rut stickers on one line, and it's like, I'm doing it. I'm real.
I get bugged if
you hold your mic
the guy
right?
peeled them off. Huh?
I think you turned it around.
It's the cord's twisted. It's naturally working its way around.
I will never forget at Grain Valley, 2000, the biggest race of the year in my little brain when I was a kid. Was a Missouri State race. My RM85 blew up in practice. You and your dad went to the shop on a Sunday morning, opened the shop, put together an RM80, and had it ready for me so that I could race that day.
And so I believe that was the year. What year?
Maybe 99. 99 to 2000, I think. Or maybe it was not. I don't remember now. Whatever you know,
Grouchy Greg actually taught me something. I thought I was pretty good on RM85s.
Yeah.
He told me the year that the RM85 production went from Japan to Taiwan.
Really?
I think it was that bike.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow. Interesting.
And it had to do with, of all things, a little subframe piece. It had a piece of metal slag inside of it, and it was rattling and carrying on, and we warrantied one for him, tried to help him out, and he goes, I really got to looking this bike over, and there were some little differences. And he said, then I finally got up to the front of the frame and noticed on the VIN tag the manufacturer, country of origin had changed.
Wow.
And it was like, really? And I called your dad a liar. I said, that's not right. And he goes, go over there and look at that one on the floor. And so therein leads to, well, once again, some of my paperwork that we'll discuss here in a minute if we don't all fall asleep. Suzuki said their explanation to me was that every RM85 they built, boxed up, crated up, sent to the U.S. market, and sold, they lost like $5. And I'm like, wow. No, you don't. They're like, yeah, we do. When they switched manufacturing because of some of the cost of goods that they were able to have produced in that country, cost of labor, whatever the manufacturing was, shipping, everything, when you figure it all in, now all of a sudden they were making $6 a bike. I'm like, no, you're not. This is the same motorcycle you made forever. You're making $5,000 a piece. Even if it only retails for $3,000, I know you're making $5,000. But anyway, we can get into some of that later. But on that day, your dad, that bike that we ran to the shop that we got, I'm about positive it was that year, he informed us of the change in manufacturer. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know it.
Was that the bike that had the purple or the black and purple with silver on the shroud?
Had like the honeycomb. Had the honeycomb like graphics.
Okay, I'm trying.
That's older, I think. What you're thinking, Jeff? I think that's.
It might have been 90. No, I think what I'm thinking of is
the purple and black. That was 98.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Keep going with
next
your
question.
Next question.
Hot questions.
This one also, Mandy Wygant also asked, I'm also curious, what is the best part of owning goats? For those of you listening.
Yeah, tell me, because I want goats bad.
Yes.
I'd be lying if I didn't say it was the kind of enjoyment, satisfaction that my daughter gets out of it. Other than that, holy crap. There's nothing good about owning goats.
How many do you have?
That's what I was wondering.
9 right now.
Oh, well, yeah, you have a goat horde.
Well, it was 4. My daughter took her money, bought a buck, so we could have some babies. So I don't know who Mother Nature, what I did to Mother Nature, how I pissed somebody off, but when my house got hit by the tornado, that whole process of her 3 goats that got pregnant all decided to deliver the morning before the tornado, the day after the tornado, the day after. We had tornado mess to clean up and baby goats every which way. If I was to say there's a good thing about having baby goats, I've gotten really, really good at running the leaf blower. Because when they poop all over the place, you take the leaf blower out and you just blow it across the pool patio.
Oh, man.
If they're on top of the car, whatever, they poop. I think they're worse than rabbits, but you get to get good at running the leaf blower to get the poop.
Did they ever come in the house?
What's that?
Did they ever come in the house?
They get in my garage, and then they poop everywhere, and then we try to get them out of the garage. And you can't hardly train them, and you can't scare them. You can try to shoo them out. They don't listen. If there's something that's entertaining them, they want to stay there. But they're cute as hell.
I like the idea of a goat, maybe 2 goats.
I'm with you. 9
goats.
So, real quick, 5 of them are for sale. The babies, the little ones. Taryn knew going in when she had the little ones that she was going to have them, raise them, whatever, and then sell them. She's got another adult goat picked out she would like to buy.
How much are these baby goats?
You're going to have to hit Taryn up on Instagram or something and ask her. I'm not real sure on that just yet. Under $100. Maybe like $85 or something.
Okay. So any listeners that want a baby goat, visit Donnell's Motorcycles where you can get your Honda Suzuki.
We're not doing livestock at the shop.
Okay, next question. Jesse Roy Anderson wants to know, what's the most rewarding and most frustrating part of being a modern motorcycle dealer?
Keyword modern.
Obviously, for me, the rewarding part is my customers, and the fact that I kind of work in something that I enjoy and love doing. But that can also be kind of the hate side of it too.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the end of the day, when I feel like I need a stress relief, I want to go ride, I want to go play, I want to go do something. Well, the last thing I want to do is go clean an air filter and go ride my motorcycle. It's like, man, that's not what I want to do. Honestly, the worst part about the modern side or the current state of the business is the internet. We used to feel like we prided ourselves in locally being a knowledgeable staff, good people, good part stock, fair prices, whatever. that don't cut it anymore.
Can I just go ahead and say real quick, your parts guy, Tim?
Yep.
I've never known someone that has known so many numbers off the top of his head.
It's scary.
In any part I would ever, say, hey, I go in, hey, Tim, I need this, this, and this. Okay, done. Click. I'm like...
He's got like one of the old microfiche machines in the back of his brain.
He's been there so damn long, I think it's burnt in there. I just think every screenshot is burnt in there. So we've got good staff, people that's been around. The bad side of it is, as much as I think I've done better than the direction Mom or Dad would have gone in trying to be a little bit up on some aspects of getting with the times, advertising, promoting, and how you promote. I've tried to do that, but at the same time, I've gotten behind the eight ball on some aspects of the business. And, the mom and pop motorcycle shop don't cut it as well anymore. I don't like the modern type of business where the mom and pop knowledgeable staff doesn't just cut it anymore. Does it help keep us in business? Yes, it does. But when a guy can at work sit down, orders parts, high volume, mail order place, get the parts, don't have to speak to staff, don't have to deal with help, whatever. It's kind of hurt what we've built through the years. So the modern side of it, what I dislike the internet. I hate it. But I do it too. I shop online. The like is still obviously the people, Grumpy Greg coming in or, sit there and talk, I don't know how long to Randy Bayless today. He likes Yamahas, I like Suzukis. But the main thing is we like dirt bikes. So it's that same passion, that same, I don't keep in contact with people from high school, yet two people I raced with a bunch, Brad, Steve, Halleck, whether it's Kevin Huff, Jeff Schumacher, all these guys I raced with years ago, I still talk to. I still hang with, It's that common bond.
Would you like the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Peyton Adams asks, what does he think about the 2018 CRF 250 and RMZ 450? Specifically, the new 250F motor. So I guess he's speaking of the new Honda 250F motor because they dropped the Unicam program, correct?
Correct.
And so now it has two cams in it?
Okay, I don't know that for sure. We've all seen the spy photos on Transworld, whatever. From the looks of things, it is definitely going to be a twin cam motor. I was told they were at the limit of what they could do production-wise with the Unicam motor for the 250. 450, they can still get more power than people need with the Unicam motor. 250, they were going to have to go back to the dual cam motor. Obviously based off the 450, the other change, bringing the airbox, boot, air intake track straight down, up over the top of the shock, just like they did on the 450s big. What we don't know still, because I've heard it is being tested both ways, is one head pipe and two head pipes. Two head pipes means two different exhaust ports, one head pipe coming out each side. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I'm not a smart enough engine builder kind of guy. In theory, it seems like you could get better flow and make it work better. On the other hand, it seems like more weight, more crap, more stuff to tear up. So your $1,200 Yosh system is now $2,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's the end? But obviously what we've seen in the pre-production over in Japan being run, there's two head pipes on it. That's different. Last two exhaust port motocross is an old one of 20 TM250s that made it into the country at about 1970 I don't know, before the 70s that my dad bought from a Japanese guy in Suzuki. It was 2-stroke, but it had 2 exhaust ports, a pipe coming out each side. Competition motocross bike seems like more weight, more stuff, more whatever that we don't need. But if it makes horsepower, it makes horsepower.
Yeah. I like and dislike Honda's twin pipe or the exhaust system that they have, that they kind of come and go with, it seems like.
They don't come and go. They've been twin pipe for quite a while.
Well, how long? The 450 was a single pipe for a while, wasn't it?
No. Well, 9. I guess it did go back 9 to 12.
Okay. And then the 250F, did it jump back and forth?
No, it pretty much stayed twins, I think. Yeah. So, a couple things going on. Obviously, one of the things in production, they try to move weight and mass more to the middle.
Yeah.
Look at a KXF. Look at an RMZ. That pipe's hanging out the back.
Yeah.
Like, coffee cans sticking out the back.
Yeah.
Yamaha circles the pipe around the motor, around the shock, all, it's a snail, snaked all over in there, and they've shortened it up some. They want mass moved to the middle of the bike, up front, middle, down low. And then Europe, even AMA for that matter, they're dealing with sound and noise regulations, and so instead of having that great big huge muffler, they can have 2 smaller ones and keep the noise level and stuff down where they want. You hear all kinds of things. Oh, they just do 2 because they want you to spend more money if you tear it up. Whatever. No, I'm not going for that. Honda's not building motorcycles based on what they can sell you more parts for. They want to be competitive. They want to design a good product.
I get very tired of hearing people say that the reason that we went to 4-strokes is because the parts to replace them are more expensive, and that's that it was done by design for the manufacturers.
Holy crap!
Agreed.
That was part of my stack of paper. I thought you were on that bandwagon.
No, not at all.
Okay,
no.
Okay. I still have numbers that we want to go over for that.
Yeah, I'm not on that bandwagon. I know that they did not go to 4-strokes as a scheme to extract more money from their customers. It was a performance-based move. I'm not necessarily in agreement that it was the right move. I think that I'll sit here and say right now, 2-strokes are better than 4-strokes. I've said it before. I'll say it now. I'll say it again for the rest of my life.
And we're going to fight in the parking lot. But that's after the show's over.
Right. But that's for me. That's my personal experience. I've always had more fun on 2-strokes. I don't buy into people that thought process.
Have you read the motocross action article on the Yamaha engineer that first developed the first YZF 400?
No.
So, as the story goes, the way I remember it, there's an engineer at Yamaha, and he goes, AMA rules. You can have up to 550cc 4-stroke.
Because Husaberg had a
or bigger, or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, well, we can make a 4-stroke be competitive. And he went to Yamaha and said, hey, I want to develop a 4-stroke for motocross competition. And Yamaha's like, no, we don't want that. Go back to work on TTRs, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want that. That's not going to sell. It's not going to work. So the story goes, on his own time, private time, at a restaurant even, the original sketch or some of the stuff was actually done on a napkin. This guy's sitting there with ideas and thoughts about, instead of the air-cooled big fin, big motor, wet sump motor, the big engine that a 4-stroke is, how can I make it smaller? How can I make it more compact, make it dry sump, carry the bulk of the oil in the frame somewhere else and get the motor smaller, lighter, whatever.
Yeah.
They say a lot of the initial drawings were on his own time, on his napkin, whatever. And when he finally, on his own time, got far enough along in the project, he went back to Yamaha, his bosses, and said, here's what I've come up with. And they looked at it and went, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And they look at the rule book. Well, we're well within the rules. We're 400 cc's, and we could have 5 whatever.
Right.
And they start development and testing, and they're like, holy crap, this can work. And, once again, based on the interviews, based on the articles from the start of the deal, Yamaha wouldn't greenlight it. Yamaha said, no, we need to build 2 strokes. That's the race bikes. 4 strokes aren't race bikes. And this one dude on his own did it. So it takes that one person to see that hole, to see that gap. And it almost kind of happened the same way, I guess, with the 250. They're like, hey, we're starting to kill it over here in the big bike class, and we got a lot of room here in the lights class or the little bike class.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Give it a shot.
And Yamaha green-lighted that one, I guess, real quick.
I'm sure.
And rest is history.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okay.
Chad Winfrey. I'm curious about this one, too. I hadn't thought of it till he pointed this out. He wants to know what your experience with helmets is and why you wear an Arai. But you have worn an Arai helmet since, is that how you say it?
Arai.
Yeah.
Okay. Since I have ever known you. You may have had a Bell once or twice, but.
No, I currently don't wear an Arai.
Oh, you don't?
What Chad is, I'm sure, referring to, first off, the Winfrey family. The guys have been part of Liberty Cycles up in Liberty, Missouri forever. Delty, the dad, was a mechanic. The guys are just nice guys. Known them forever. But anyway, so long time ago, hometown track, Sunday race, counting the chickens before the hatch, figured out some easy money going in my pocket. Agency, Missouri, going up, around the first corner, on the throttle, and caught a rock on the outside of the first corner at Agency, Missouri, kicked the rear end up and in just as the first drop-off came. I yard sailed down that thing. And so knocked out teeth, split my chin, broke a chunk of bone out of my jaw, and my teeth chomped together so hard it split the palate, split the roof of my mouth. So I had my jaws wired shut, and anyway, it knocked me out. And my cousin Brent was the only one up there with me that day. So I get the nice lit up chariot ride to the hospital, and through all this process, the next day at the hospital where I separated the shoulder, just beat up. They kind of basically did the surgery to wire my jaws together, pull a couple of teeth, whatever.
What year was this?
56.
Brutal. 1992. Let's see, 80, late 80s.
Okay.
So anyway, come to find out, the guy that did the mandible, did the jaw surgery kind of stuff, had been married to my aunt. And I hadn't seen the guy since I was a little kid. And he's asking my parents about the crash and kind of what happened. And he said, hey, I'd like to see his helmet. What was he wearing for protection? And at that time, the Arai helmet had the face mask that screwed on.
Yeah.
It wasn't a solid fiberglass full front face mask. And so they bring my helmet in to him, and it's dangling by one screw. And his opinion was that face mask, when I chin planted, held within a certain amount of force. The screw sheared, but in the end, it maybe saved my neck. So at that point, at that time, my head shape, I was wearing the Arai because it was the best fitting helmet I'd ever had on my head. But then when he told me that, of course, I became a bigger fan. And I stuck with the Arai product for years. Raced a little bit of Supercross, Daytona Supercross. The Arai rep actually gave me another new helmet, freshened me up, whatever. really, really was a fan of the product. Through age, I'd like to say my wife shrunk my helmet like she shrunk my riding pants, my jerseys, and everything else. But through my medium not fitting anymore, bigger sizes, I don't know what's happened to my head shape, but honestly, the Arai helmet doesn't fit my head as good anymore.
Do you wear a Fly now?
I do.
Yeah. That F2 Carbon's a great helmet.
I love it. Obviously, yeah, my rep takes pretty good care of me, but for a while there, I even wore some Fly stuff before Fly was cool.
Yeah.
And always liked the gear. But some of the first helmets that come out didn't work. The helmets really, really work for me now. I don't serious competition race, but I want to go ride in Colorado, and I'm sitting on a motorcycle from 10 o'clock in the morning until dark.
Yeah.
It better feel decent on my head. And I'm wearing the Fly product, and unfortunately, the Arai product doesn't fit the shape of my head right now. But at that time, my parents, the doctor, everybody felt like that removable face mask, when those plastic screws that held it on withstood so much force, they finally sheared, may or may not have saved my neck. But anyway, that's where I became an Arai fan for a lot of years.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
Did you listen to our podcast last week talking about neck braces?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of that where people they'll put them on and then they have a crash and then they sell themselves on it. They justify the product after their first crash. And you're like, man, if I wouldn't have had that on, I for sure would have broken my neck. And it's just a self-satisfaction thing.
And there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
Any amount of gear you're comfortable with is not a bad thing.
Right.
If it works for one guy, it doesn't mean it's going to work for the next guy. Just like right now, I went through a phase there where Talon was on the Arai bandwagon. He said it was the only thing that was comfortable on his head, and I'm like, bullcrap, your head's like my head, you got to wear this. Well, no, it didn't work. But whether it's a neck brace, whether it's elbow guards, whether it's chest protector, whatever it is, it has to be what you're comfortable with, what works for you. So,
speaking of elbow guards, where I shredded my elbow here, I did it 3 times in 1 year that I crashed on this elbow. And after the 3rd time, I went out and bought elbow guards. And I was like, screw it, I don't care. I'm never not wearing these things. I wore them maybe 5 times. I was like, I can't ride in these.
Arm pump central.
It just, terrible. But, whenever I was growing up, I wore those Fox, the slip-on ones that had the sleeve over it. And they were not hard, but they had I tried getting the closest thing to that. Just didn't work.
So one of my biggest battles was when I had Tyson and Talon both racing, and I'm beating up the reps, trying to get a deal on some gear, help me out, whatever. Tyson worked in a Shoei. Talon worked in an Arai.
Yeah.
So my volume, hey, this is my team. This is, hey, this is what we need to do. Out the window. What works for one doesn't mean it's going to work for the other. Yeah. Not happening. It's what works for you.
The face mask thing on your helmet, that reminds me of the new magnetic visors.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that makes me think of.
I haven't seen that on the showroom floor yet.
No, I haven't seen it either.
I'm sure it will come.
But
it will come. And
that's what Roxon was wearing.
One of the biggest things, Arai, through the years, whether it's off-road, street, or anything, if you really sit through a presentation of Arai, and if you look at their helmets, they don't have fins, they don't have wings, they don't have grooves, they don't have lines. Anything that is attached to that helmet typically is, vents, whatever, is adhesive. There's nothing very permanent. And they feel like any lip, they're not worried about style, they're worried about function.
Yeah.
They want you to be able to slide, whatever, and not snag something.
Everything on that helmet serves a safety purpose.
Correct. But having said that, more importantly to me is it has to fit your head.
Yeah.
And, like I say, my Fly guy is awesome. I like the guy, I like the product, fits good, whatever. I might still wear an Arai, but it doesn't fit my head. And if it's not sitting on my head right, it does me no good. So that's important.
Boys, I'm about to turn into a pumpkin right now. I've been up since 5 o'clock.
2 questions and we'll finish with this paperwork?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 questions. Okay. Bill Graham wants to know who was the dirtiest, most aggressive local rider when you were coming up through the ranks?
John Lambert.
Beautiful.
Next question.
So on that, I mean, the dude cleaned my clock, and
Not Jack, John.
correct.
Okay.
I normally was being brake checked by Jack as John cleaned my clock.
Ooh, little Dungy Moose can. Teamwork.
No, way worse. But anyway, yeah, it was what it was. We wanted to win. We wanted the money. I think this touches in a little bit on the Scott Gebkin interview a little bit too. Hey, I'm out there. I want to ride. I want to put my laps in. I want to have some fun. Back then, we didn't want to ride and put in some laps and have some fun. We wanted the cash. And if it meant, and that was a team. Those guys pooled it, put their money together. I didn't have a team member.
All the goalie brothers.
Yep. That's why Tyson gave it up.
Yeah.
So my deal was, I better get out in front damn fast because John's coming. If Jack brake checks me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And it was get to the front fast. But there was a period in time where we'd be knockdown, drag out fight to win the cash, and John Lambert, Jeff Schumacher, and my then girlfriend, wife now, we'd leave KCR after Friday night and we'd go end up partying away about every single penny that we won that night. And we'd have fun doing it. Mortal enemy on the track, but by golly, did we have fun.
I like that.
It was a good time.
Okay.
Next question.
David West, Chance's dad.
There's a lot of I saw that. There's
Yes.
a lot packed in that one.
Well, actually, this is like 4 different ones, but since we're running out of time here, I'm picking the best one.
Yeah.
What was your best finish as a pro? Not everybody knows your background in racing.
Pro riding, I really didn't put into the effort that I probably should have.
I heard that.
I want to say.
Wait, I'm going to stop. Time out. I'm going to add something to this question. What was your best finish as a pro motocrosser and your best finish as a pro road racer?
Pro motocross would have been a regional, a 125. They call the 250 class a regional class, which is bull crap. They're pro dudes, badass, whatever. It's not a regional series, whatever. But anyway, when I got into it is when basically the lights class started. And Jack, John, and I hit a few of them. I don't know. Honestly, that's what the Racer X Vault does. I have to go look at it to see what I got. I think it was about a 13th or something in a 125 Supercross. I did get somehow or another enough points. I went out in 1985 for the East-West Shootout, which is done at Vegas. It was then done in the LA Coliseum. I did go ride that race. It was a great time. About exploded an ankle in practice and just had a crappy race, but enjoyed the experience. So my goal always was to be Jeff Schumacher and earn a national number, which 125 Supercrosses didn't pay points. You had to go run the outdoors, do whatever. And it was kind of a point in time where girls, money, and everything entered into the scene. And way before internet, Jeff and I would call each other. We'd be at work on Monday. He was working at Metropolitan Yamaha. I, of course, worked for Dad, and we'd compare our race weekend. Supercrosses would be over. Mom, Dad say, "Hey, you got to work Friday. You got to work Saturday. Whatever." I'd go race KCR Friday night. Go race Agency Sunday. I'd have $300 in my pocket. Jeff would go earn some top 20s at the Nationals and come home with $100.
Yeah.
And I slept in my bed, went out with my girlfriend, whatever. I've told it to Doug and Brian Stone, Jeff, all of them. I'm pissed off I never tried to earn a number. I didn't do it. I was all about the money. And I don't know what the hell Gebkin's thinking. I want the money. I don't care if it's Kingsville, KCIR, Lake City, agency. We're there for the money.
I catch myself at work. I'll start thinking about the weekend, and the way that I'm going to ride, or thinking about, where do I want to go race this weekend that pays the most or something like that? And I'm like, what the hell do I care? Do I really think I'm competitive enough to go and last for 6 laps?
Because yes, you are.
Yes, I think that I am, for sure. I'm good for about 4 laps, and then the last 2 are just survival mode. But, yeah, I'll be like, "What, dude, what are you doing?" I'll think, hell, I was thinking it earlier today. I was, because I was thinking about the results from the pro nationals that have been happening, and there's only 45 guys showing up and racing the 250F class, and I'll scroll through those bottom 10 riders, and I'm like, I've got them made for a lap for sure.
But back what I just said, and this is a problem. You can go to the national.
Turn it a little bit. There you go.
You can go to the national. You can actually earn a couple of points, and you'd have been better off to stay home, run a Missouri State, run a Kingsville night, and you got more cash in your pocket.
Right.
So, do you get the fame and the glory of the making the back marker and you made the national, or do you want some money in your pocket to buy your girlfriend a nice dinner? What do you want to do? That's your goal.
Right.
Me, girlfriend, I had to go to work. Mom, dad's on me. Hey, we need help. You don't leave town. We're open Friday. We're open Saturday. You got to work, whatever. I'm like, man, I'm chasing some bucks.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I say, the Jeff Schumacher and I are buddies, big time buddies to this day. I was always jealous. I think locally he has more national numbers than anybody.
Yeah.
And, minus
Jeff
Emig, maybe Austin Fortner coming up, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I still, like I said, always looked up to him for that. But at the same time, I always loved it when Jeff was gone to the national because that was one less guy I had to beat. I'm like, come on, money, here it comes.
I love racing with Chris Thies, but I love that he's in Europe.
That's it. Next question, Mike.
Yeah,
I think that was pretty much it. Oh no, I have one of my own. You were talking about Talon wanting to go fast earlier, and I've heard a lot of people debate this, and I want your opinion. Can you learn to go fast, or is it you either got it or you don't? And when I say that, I mean not just necessarily make the pro ranks, but even a local A class.
Local A class, yes, you can learn it. To be Austin Fortner, no, you better have something special. So I had the opportunity to deal with both, with Tyson and with Talon. Tyson has a natural athletic ability to do anything he wants to do, whether it be a gainer off the diving board, whether to go over to the trampoline, whether to throw the baseball, to shoot a basket, to run, to jump, to ride a dirt bike. It just came naturally for Tyson. He went faster, quicker, excelled at it quicker. Talon's built like me in the sense that if you want to do it, you better work at it.
It's repetition.
It doesn't come natural.
Yeah.
You better practice, and then when you're tired of practicing, you better practice some more.
Yeah.
I lived out in the country growing up. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have Facebook. I didn't have computers. I didn't have anything. When I got home from school, I rode my dirt bike. When I got tired of the dirt bike, I had 10 acres of grass I had to mow. When I got tired of mowing it was time to start mowing again. And if I had spare time, I shot a basketball. I went to a small school. I made varsity playing basketball. If I'd have been in a big school, I wouldn't even have made the bench warmer, but I worked at it. Same thing with racing. And that is what Talon had to do. I was frustrated with Talon after a weekend of racing. Joe Burke was sitting in my office, and he's going, hey, how'd the racing go? Well, Tyson blew him away 3 motos, crashed his brains out in the other moto, kind of a typical Tyson day. And he goes, well, how'd Talon do? I said, oh, Talon did Talon. He goes, what do you mean? I said, man, I don't know if the kid's ever going to pick the speed up. I don't know if he's going to ever get the aggression. I don't know. And I'm just kind of complaining about Talon's speed. And Joe starts chuckling. I said, what are you laughing about? And he goes, do you know down there on Truman Road at the old shop, I had this same exact conversation with your dad about you. He said, your dad sat there and bitched, man, Bart, he goes out to races. He don't fall down. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. But God dang, he ain't going very fast. And Joe said, with time, you picked it up, you picked it up, you picked it up. And what's Talon done? Same thing.
Yeah.
So Talon, a lot of it has come on his own. I try to make sure he's got a good bike. It works right. It's, we work together on it, whatever. But when I tell Talon, hit this corner here, do this, or try this line, try this, all he's hearing is take out the trash, do your homework, clean up your room, do this, do that.
Yeah.
So coaching for me is no different than my dad and Joe Burke. I listened and probably learned more from Joe than I did my dad. My dad did a lot of the slow race stuff, got me up through parts of it. And then, part of it you just start picking up on your own, and that's what Talon's doing. He wants to go to Raynard's. He wants to go to wherever and train, and I haven't sent him there.
Yeah, don't, because I don't want him to beat me yet.
And along that line, a lot of times I think there's a lot of kids that they have to get to a certain point on their own. They can't be taught to just go faster. They have to figure it out on their own. Some guys do really well with it. Others not necessarily. Seat time. I try to tell dads you could spend $4 or $5 grand a month or something on training, or you could buy him more gas, buy him another bike, and just help him get to the track every day and make him practice. Period. So
that's how I got my speed, was by going to the dirt bike track.
Yeah,
I had Nide and Rusty Scheiderly in my corner to help me with instruction and seeing stuff that I couldn't while I was on the bike. But I went to the track every day. There was no training facilities. There was no
Your dad did a lot like Mike Fortner too. You guys didn't sit at home. At the weekends, you're gone.
That's right.
You go ride. You get gate drops.
We were racing. Yeah.
Different tracks, not just the same place.
Bart, there was one year that we went racing. Are you ready for this, Michael? 39 weekends.
Yeah.
When I was on KX80s.
And raced. The rest of them were rained out.
Yeah, seriously. But it was 30, and that was racing. That's not just riding. We were racing 39 weekends in 1 year.
Part of that question, I don't know if it's you that asked best finish on a road race. I never pro road raced.
You didn't pro road? I thought you pro road raced.
Nope. What could be?
I don't know the classes, but you rode local A.
Very little. No. Road race is different. Road race is totally different than motocross. If somebody gets a dirt bike and they want to go out to Kingsville and sign up for the A class, they can go sign up for the A class. Road racing, you can't go to Heartland Park, Topeka. Not only can you not sign up for the expert class, you can't sign up for the amateur class. You have to sign up for rider training, go through the school, go through the class, go through all the deal, pass the class before you can ever get an amateur license.
Oh, so you have to, it's like you have to get a license just to race.
You got to earn it.
Wow.
So I was getting a little bit burnt out on the motocross side of things. Shane Clark was working for us at the shop at the time, did really well road racing, kind of got me interested in it. And I, through Tim Vaughn, another old-time motocrosser, works at an insurance company, helped me get a crash CBR, fixed it up, went down, did a track day, rode a race, whatever, in Oklahoma, Hallett, Oklahoma, and just got bit by the bug. It was different. But I had to run the dreaded yellow plate. I had to run as an amateur. And so Austin Cathcart, the old guy that with my dad taught me how to slow race, taught me all about lean angles and different things. Austin knew this husband and wife that worked for the AMA and took care of a lot of road race stuff. I said, Austin, call Dovel's, tell him I want my white plate. I want an expert plate. I want to ride with the experts. I don't want to ride the amateurs. Austin said, well, I'll call him. They met me at Heartland Park, Topeka. Hey, yeah, we understand you're Donnell's kid. It's Donnell's kid. It ain't Bart. It's Donnell's kid. Yeah, we know Donnell. God, he was great. You know, he fast, road raced. Donnell did this, did that. But anyway, you couldn't just jump up there. You had to earn points. So I ran a couple of races. I didn't earn enough points that year to get my expert license. Well, crap. Okay, I'll try to run more of them next year. Couldn't get away from work. Couldn't do it. Mom, Dad's like, no, you need to stay in work. You can't go to Atlanta. You can't go to Wisconsin. You can't do, because there's only one track locally, Heartland Park, Topeka. They don't have that many races.
Yeah.
So finally I run, I think it was like 98. I run a handful of races, and I go to basically what's kind of the Loretta Lynn's of road racing at Daytona. It's the CCS Amateur National Championship, whatever. But I'm still kind of in the amateur class. But coming out of that is kind of the kids that get picked up and go to the expert and kind of get support or help. And I signed up in 3 classes on my 600, 3 classes on my 750. I was a little bit heavy, and I was probably believe it or not, I was the only guy in the whole paddock that not only was my motor stock, I had stock sprockets, stock chains, and everybody's got a stack of sprockets, stack of gearing, stack of all this stuff they work with. I just went down there with a fancy paint job and a good bike.
Yeah.
All of my 750 classes I signed up for, I won. I won all 3 of them. The 600, the best I did was the 3rd. If anybody has ever watched Daytona on a road race in the drafting, well, my big ass was at the tail end of the draft pack in the 600 class. I didn't have horsepower.
Yeah.
750 class, I kind of got away with it. So I come home, yay, earn my expert plate. I get to run the expert guys now. So my very first expert race, Heartland Park, Topeka, battling for 3rd with a local guy. Shane Clark and a guy from up in Iowa were battling for 1st and 2nd. Pretty good money race. I wadded up big time. First time I'd fallen down. And on my nice Cherry GSX-R 750, it destroyed every piece of bodywork. It broke the frame, broke the swing arm. It actually broke the bank of 4 carburetors. It broke 2 of the carburetors. There wasn't a straight piece on that motorcycle. And my wife had a crazy dream the night before that I crashed. I said, no, I didn't crash. She was supposed to come out the next day. I was just going to practice this day. So at the last minute, I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and race. She goes, no, you're not. And I said, yeah, I'm going to race. It's just, I'll play, practice, whatever. And she goes, well, I'm coming out there. She shows up about in time to watch me wad it up. So between my wife and my parents, my road race career was done.
So you had your first and your last straw in one serving.
Big time. I destroyed a motorcycle. I think I broke my pinky. I had some bumps and bruises. I loaded my trashed motorcycle in the trailer, went home. I was on a Saturday. The big races were Sunday.
Yeah.
I could have gone back and raced my 600. Instead, I loaded up my RM250 and went and raced at Grain Valley on Sunday. And probably made, I don't know, in the plus 25 class, made some money. And complained about my pinky all day and whatever. My road race career was done. And hadn't been on it since.
That was the last time you rode a street bike on the road? Or on the course?
I went and did a couple other track days after that.
Yeah.
When you go do track days, it about spoils your street riding. It is so much fun. And
I've never rode a motorcycle on the street. I rode a Yamaha VMAX behind Letco for a minute and a half. I've always wanted to go ride a motorcycle on the track day. I have zero interest.
Same here.
About riding it on the street.
Not me. Some of my fondest memories with Leanne were we would get home I'd go race KCIR, and if we didn't head to the after-hours establishment places and have a good time with John Lambert and Jeff Schumacher, we'd run home, get a street bike, and head to Nolan Road. Back then, Nolan Road was the cruise place for all the kids. Meet up with a bunch of the bike guys. We'd head to Fairfax. We'd go street race. We had so much fun. The difference is today, obviously drivers are distracted. It's a different time.
Yeah.
So when I ride on the street now, I don't look at the scenery. I don't enjoy the ride. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to because I'm constantly watching other people.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
It's different. So still enjoy it, but it's different.
That's my thing. It makes me nervous to drive my truck down the road.
Oh,
I cannot imagine. You couldn't pay me enough.
My girlfriend wants a Harley, and I keep telling her, you got to learn how to ride a dirt bike first before you go buy a motorcycle. And because you learn, sure, you can learn how to ride a street bike, or you can learn how to ride a Harley on the street, but understanding spatial awareness is a lot easier to get a grasp of on a motorcycle, or on a dirt bike whenever you're riding a track that is only so wide. Mm-hmm. I think that helps me with my job because I for the record, I have the perfect safety record at FedEx. And I think it's because I'm so good at scanning for, quote unquote, different lines, ways to approach objects, fixed objects, moving vehicles, kids,
and
so on.
Idiot getting ready to change lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Tell your girlfriend, go take a rider safety training class, an MSF sponsored class, and she'll find out if that's her deal or not.
Yeah, if it's something she wants to do.
Yep.
Instead of MSF, send her to MTF. Train her on a dirt bike.
Yeah.
All right, Bart.
Can we?
Hell of a what? We're done.
We want to go over a couple things here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take a break. Yeah, go ahead.
So
you've got your graphs out.
Yes. In this,
you gotta hold it like this, Bart. Yeah, there.
That's damn LaCroix, man. I tell you. So, one of the shows, let's say, I know you guys are world famous and everything. You've got tens of listeners.
He really does know the show.
He does.
So, there was a comment, and I don't know that I'm going to word it correctly, but Jeff,
it came from me for sure. If there was a comment, then it came from me.
Yes. But it basically boiled down to that the manufacturers weren't listening to you. The manufacturers weren't listening to the consumer and building what the consumer wanted.
I'm specifically talking about motocross competition motorcycles.
Okay.
Fair enough. Maybe that wasn't clear enough.
No,
that was the one thing.
I said, in this sport, we are passionate about what we ride and what we do and what segment we like the most. Mike is pretty passionate about some of the side-by-side stuff. He's raced them. He's been in them. Still loves the motocross side of things. We're into the dirt bikes. My age has got to me where I look at other segments, but my heart is still in the motocross side of things.
Yeah.
But to say that the manufacturers in the competition segment don't listen to the consumer and build what the consumer wants, what I tried to do tonight was bring a little bit of information that called bullshit on your comment.
This gets better and better.
In my heart of hearts, I truly believe that the Japanese don't give a shit about what the American racing market is, that what they're producing is what has the most power. That's their number one concern, because here in America, that's what we want. I don't think that it's made the motorcycles any better or the racing any better. It's that one guy, like you said, one guy at Yamaha, an outlier, said, hey, we can do this because the rules are eligible for it. And then they milked it and turned it into a niche. And then everybody else had to play catch up. And in the process, it's because we just want to win here.
Can I just say that Bart has a dad face right now, and he is about to show you up. I can feel it. It's coming.
Yep.
So number one, it's not a niche or a niche. It's.
I don't give a shit how you say it.
When the majority conform to that path.
Yeah.
It's not a niche market anymore.
Okay, I understand that. But
hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll argue this
pile of papers, and if Mike or Greg reads off the name and where this stuff comes from, I'm going to deny it, because this is paid for information that was sent to me that is not supposed to be public knowledge, but I'm sure everybody can find it on the internet. And this report is from the end of 15 to the end of 16.
Okay.
Basically a calendar year, and it is behind the time. So let's say trends change.
Yeah.
Two-strokes are the greatest thing ever invented, and the trends are changing. Sales figures are changing. You do realize that to make a model change or to change direction, to come with something new, with Japan especially, I'm not going to say this about players, I'm not going to say this about KTM necessarily, typically it is a 5-year plan to start development of a new model and to bring it into production. Okay. 5 years.
Yeah.
So we're only going off of what basically kind of was the 2016 year. So how many manufacturers make 125 two-strokes?
2 technically, but 3.
Okay, let's go by 3.
Okay.
Just for the sake of argument.
And not
in
including
2016, how many 125 two-stroke new bikes were sold?
I'm going to say, now, is this the American only
U.S. market?
Okay.
100% U.S. market.
I'm going to say 2,500.
Not far off. That's pretty good. 1,892.
I was a little high. Yeah.
But you're not like you're not like a lot of individuals thinking, "Oh my God, they sold 10,000 125s in the U.S. market."
Well, I just think of every motorcycle dealership that I've ever been to has, they might have one in stock, and they've sold one. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm on board.
Okay. Can we roughly say that 250Fs are kind of comparable with the 125? I mean,
ballpark. Yeah, they're ballpark.
Class-wise, whatever. Mm-hmm. How many 250Fs were sold for 2016?
14,000.
You're a little strong again.
Okay.
12,126.
Okay.
Wow. So, of the number of 250Fs compared to 125s, the number of 250Fs, there were approximately 15% of the amount of 125s sold.
Yeah.
50% of the manufacturers are selling a 125.
Yeah.
You could say 5 and 2.
Right.
Let's call it 6 and 3.
Yeah.
Yamaha, KTM, Husky sell 125s. So 50% of the manufacturers are selling a 125. Honda's not, Kawasaki's not, Suzuki's not.
Right.
And yet, there's only 15% of sales are compared to the 250s or 125 two-strokes. Even though you love to ride a 125, my fat ass has fun on a 125. It's great.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. But I'm not going to sell a 450 that I maybe race once a year to go get a 125 because, granted, I'm all over the learning to do the two-stroke thing. I want to be able to clear that jump if I need to and not kill myself. So no way in the world is Honda going to develop and build a new two-stroke, cut that piece of the pie, those 1,800 units, and only sell 300 of them.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. It does make me wonder, though, if Honda said, we're going to come out with an aluminum frame two-stroke 125 that'll be the exact same thing. Now, I know that the machines have been retooled. Everything that they used in, when was the last one made? 2007?
Yes.
Okay, so if they didn't have to do anything other than put new plastic on them, it makes me wonder how many they would sell. If Honda just said, we're going to release 1,500 of them, would that then I bet Yamaha KTM and Husky sales would go to the bottom because it would be a limited. You see what I'm saying? But
so
they're obviously not going to do that.
Do you still have Brent Arnold's phone number in your phone?
No.
Call Brent. The 2007 Honda CR125 was the biggest turd ever made. Slow.
Yeah.
So if they retool it and make it, even if it was $1,500 to $2,000 cheaper than every other 125 out there, I don't think it's going to sell, based on what I've seen. And you're saying they could tool up and make 1,500 of them, which most of the market for the motocross bikes is going to come to the U.S. market.
Yeah.
So you're saying we're going to not double it, but we're going to pretty significantly change the number of sales on 125s. Honda can't tool up and do that, in my opinion, and make it fly past the bean counters. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
So along that line, if it wasn't for Brent Arnold and his dad Jeff buying the last couple of CR125s I had, they were Honda fans. Jeff's diehard Honda guy.
Yeah.
Sending the motors off, making them run right. I probably would have been busting out what we call the salt and pepper and the mustard deal because we were going to be eating them.
Yeah.
2007, the last year of the RM125.
I just put that together.
2007, RM125 was a pretty good bike. Ran good, had a good motor, chassis worked good, suspension worked good, had been updated. So that time frame is when Tyson was coming off of little bikes, off 85s.
Yeah.
He's looking at Brent Arnold. He's looking at Hunter. He's looking at Weston Miller. He's looking at all these guys come off their little bikes, getting on big bikes. Those dudes most of them had 250Fs.
Yeah.
It's like, man, 250F, we're getting Honda, we're getting a Suzuki. What are we doing? I said, you're getting that right there. What? I said, that RM125 right there. I said, you got some learning still to do, stepping up to a big bike. It's a great thing.
Yep.
I was selling him on the fact that it was a stepping stone and he was learning.
Yeah.
He got to ride it because that damn thing had been sitting on my floor for a year and a half, going on 2 years. We were going to get out the birthday candles and have a birthday for that damn thing if it sat there another 2 months. So that was his bike. He got a race going to the big bike class.
Yeah.
The 2008 RM250 was an awesome motorcycle, really, really good. The last one of those I had in my shop probably 2 years. Suzuki did not get out of the two-stroke market because they wanted to sell more parts. We discussed that.
Yeah.
They got out of it because the damn things were not selling at that time.
Now, the question is, did they stop selling because of the introduction of four-strokes?
Correct. 100%.
Right. Yeah.
100%. But why did people switch? They switched because they could go faster, easier, be lazier, whatever, make the farting sounds, whatever you want to say. They sold, and they were a more competitive motorcycle. Whether you liked it or not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what was selling and what was working. So, in the grand scheme of things, currently, there's 2,000 new two-stroke 250s sold. There's almost 12,000 450s sold.
Does it break it down by manufacturer?
Yes.
How many KTMs?
Okay, 2 years ago was the first year, I think, on 250Fs and 450Fs that KTM moved up from fifth place. They just passed Suzuki.
Okay.
Which was still a surprise to me, based on what, who's winning on the pro level, whatever. Still, they're running typically, on average, fourth. About the only one they're in front of on four-stroke sales is Suzuki. Mm-hmm. Strange enough, that's what my kid races, is this last place Suzuki. So one thing I find interesting, when you take 125 two-strokes, what's the best-selling one?
I'd say probably the Yamaha.
It is.
Yeah.
Less money. It's old. Same design forever.
Parts cost $1.
Well, yeah. It is still the better selling of them, and it's not a great big difference, but it is. If you take the 125 SX and the 150 SX and combine those two, then yes, it's more between those two. But the 150 SX in this time period was 600 units. The Yamaha, it was. The Yamaha was 759 units.
Wow.
So you take the Yamaha 125 at 759 units, you take the YZ250 at 1,000 units, and you think, man, why isn't Suzuki building one? Why isn't Kawasaki building one? Well, God dang it. And a manufacturer doing volume, that ain't enough units.
No.
Our industry is still soft in this segment. For comparison's sake, one of the bigger numbers on one of the Harley-Davidson models, it's like an Ultra Glide. It's like Harley's got a list 5 miles long of the different models they do.
Yeah.
But on the Ultra Glide or one of these models, it's 29,000 units.
Just for one brand.
One model.
One model.
Not a brand. They've got a list 5 miles long of different models. So when we, as diehard enthusiasts, think Ryan Dudgey killed it this year, Marvin Muskin's killing it, there's KTM's just killing it, KTM's going to put Honda out of business, put Harley out of business, whatever. This is one figure that I wanted to give you.
Okay.
So there were 12,000 250Fs sold during this time period.
Okay.
At the same time, Honda and Yamaha only. I didn't pull Suzuki. I didn't pull anything else. Honda and Yamaha only, they're 50 and they're 110. They're play bikes. Almost 16,000 units.
Wow.
A piece?
No, total.
Okay.
Total.
Yeah.
But on the 250Fs, we're taking 6 brands in account. And on these 50s and 110s, I have to be honest, I don't know. I think the 50s and 110s are more profitable than what they are even on 85 two-strokes.
Yeah.
But this doesn't even take into account the 125s, the 150s, the 230s. Honda sells more CRF 230F play bike fun bikes than they do CRF 450Rs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So for us, as enthusiasts, as motocross people, to think that what we want, to think that those manufacturers should listen to our goddamn demands, we want this, we want this, we want this. They look at the numbers, the bean counters, and unfortunately the motocross is, in sales terms, kind of a small thing.
Yeah.
When you consider there's more Honda Ruckuses sold than there is our beloved motocross bikes.
Motocross racing is probably the biggest little sport in the world.
Correct. Mm-hmm. There you go. And of all things, the manufacturers spend more money, not just at the pro level, but contingency money and programs and marketing and everything else in our small niche sport.
Now I'm sitting here thinking about so let's say you combine Honda's 250 and 450 sales, new bikes, total 35,000 units in a year.
The motocrossers?
Yep.
Worldwide, I don't know.
No, just in America.
In America, 250 motocross, 450 motocross in a year is 6,000 units, 7,000 units.
Combined? Between the two.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I was thinking all brands. Okay.
No.
How the hell do they pay for anything?
Right. You got it. Okay. So
we're lucky we're not racing. 230s.
Okay. Now hold on.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, KTM that's ruling the world with their sales. I think if I pull this U.S. market research together, not only motocross bikes, but off-road trail bikes also, that number may not equal one Harley model. One. Not all the other stuff, 883s, 1200s, whatever.
Yeah.
So, once again, for us as enthusiasts to scream at the manufacturers, we want this. Why aren't you building this? Ryan Dungey won. We need this. You should cater to us. They're like, screw you guys. We need to build the next biggest, bestest ATV with racks.
Yeah.
With GPS, with whatever.
Power steering.
Correct.
Yep.
So when you bring ATV numbers into this,
okay,
side by side numbers are not available.
Right. Okay.
That would totally blow all of this dirt bike stuff out of the water.
Yeah.
Completely.
Well, shit, you go to Freedom, they have the dirt bikes stuffed off in the corner. The rest of the showroom floor, I mean, it's literally, there are more, I'd say 70% of the showroom floor has four wheels.
And 50% of my showroom floor has dirt bikes, and there's where I'm screwing up. I love dirt bikes. I love the people.
Yeah.
I love the competition. I love going beating through the trees. Kyle Fysenik, that dude, I'm going to run him over the next time I see him in the woods. You know, I love going riding with him and those guys. I'm a dirt bike guy. I'm a two-wheel guy. But that's not my smartest business decision. I want that to pay the bills and do the, make my wallet fat. But unfortunately, it doesn't.
Right.
And I'm only bringing this up because it's easy to sit back as an enthusiast and say, God dang it, I want this done on my dirt bike.
Yeah.
But it doesn't justify it. The numbers being sold does not justify it. And I think you guys even touched on the Honda 150. I believe it's pretty much legal in all 12 to 15 age groups and little wheel stuff. Super Mini, it's eligible. I think in both of those Super Mini classes, Loretta's was age related, not so much bike.
Okay.
But one of my biggest arguments ever, and I know there's a stepping stone missing, a 125 two-stroke right now is the same seat height as a 450F.
Yeah.
Other than the motor and easier to start, that's not much of a stepping stone. I would like to see, back when I was a kid, you had the 80, you had the 100, you had the 125, you had the 250, and you had a 500. And they were all different seat height. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Once you get on off of an 85, every other bike is the same seat height. I'd like to see a stepping stone in the middle. But when there's only 1,800 125 sold,
there's no point.
How can you make another one?
Yeah.
That's why that was my dad's argument whenever I went from an 80 to a 450, was I was a tall enough kid, and he knew he instilled the fear of God in me to not do anything stupid, and he knew that I wouldn't get crazy on a 450, but it was the same size bike. So his thinking, I mean...
Okay, but to add to that, and maybe he didn't say this, but your dad's way smarter than you give him credit for. I know what he is. When the Honda 150 come out, I had arguments with RJ and Steve Halterman both. They said, oh my God, they're too much horsepower, they're too fast, they're not legal. Okay, we may let them in Super Mini. And I said, guys, have you rode one? No, I've seen so-and-so ride one, and it was fast. Okay,
well,
did you ride one? No, I haven't. I said, well, how can you make that judgment call? They're too dangerous. They're going to get beginner kids hurt. Okay, have you guys sat and watched a 7 to 11 85 gate drop before? I said, I know you guys have done it. There's so many Larry loop out kids. Yeah. They try to get rid of the clutch. The thing gets into the power valve opens up. The thing wheelies over, rips the fender off. Poor kid's embarrassed. I said, go do a practice start on a 150, on a Honda 150. It is so much easier, so much more controllable. You're doing the opposite. You need to not let the fast kids and the dads that are spending money, don't let them have the 150 because it's going to get too expensive if they want to modify it. let the beginners have it.
Yeah.
The kids that want the easy roll-on,
that makes
smooth
sense.
power, let them have it. So instead, what do? That same time frame, they allowed 252 strokes in
to the 125 class.
Correct. So, as a kid, your first 252 stroke ever, you're coming out of back in my day at Lake City or wherever, agency, you just ride on freshly poured concrete, hard slick, nothing tilled. You come out of the corner and you start to whack on that throttle. By the time you hit the jump face, there ain't one thing going straight.
Yeah.
The thing hitting the power, it's sideways, it's roasting the tire, and you're out of shape. And you're a little spindly kid and you can't hang on.
Yeah.
My dad wouldn't buy me a 252 stroke. He said, you're not ready. If you want one, you have to buy it. I'm like, well, Dad, you sponsor me. You need to give me one. Nope, you ain't ready. You buy one if you think you're ready. I emptied my bank account. I bought one. I realized real quick, this is scary.
Yeah.
You whack the throttle, shit gets exciting. You whack the throttle on a 250F, it don't do that.
No, it doesn't.
It does not do that. Mm-mm. It doesn't get you sideways on the face of the jump. It doesn't bust loose when you're not expecting it. And it's the same thing with the little bikes.
My 252 stroke that I have, I put the red power valve spring in it, and I didn't do it because I felt like I needed more power. I like that hit. I like that exciting feeling of, being in second gear, 3/4 throttle and just dumping the clutch in a corner. And
I'm not arguing that. The feel of the two-stroke, what it does, the power delivery, you said it earlier. The skill it takes to ride one correctly, there's an art form to it. And to watch you ride it, to watch Alex Malott ride it, whatever, it's amazing. But I can go through sales figures to show the consumers haven't said that the two-stroke's where they want to go.
Yeah.
Also, I can pull up figures that the guys saying that the manufacturers only did it to sell more parts. I can show you since the changeover to 4-strokes hurt my retail parts business.
Whenever I'm at Freedom, because I always stand behind the computer and watch what my discount gives me. The retail price on 4-stroke parts, and that's both OEM and aftermarket, and what the markup is smaller than what it is on the 2-strokes. All the parts are more expensive, yes, but what the dealer makes off of them is less than what. Okay, for example, it's kind of hard. I'm kind of thinking of apples and oranges, but engine components on my bike are less expensive to manufacture, so they charge less for it. And then on the 4-strokes, they're more expensive to make, by and large, so they have to charge more for it. There's the gap between your price and what it costs the manufacturing company or the OEM. That price is probably pretty even throughout, regardless of what model it is, whether it's a 2-stroke or 4-stroke.
That's a little different direction than kind of what I was getting at. One of the questions I asked, I keep saying grouchy and grumpy Greg. One of the questions I asked Greg a long time ago, this wasn't last week, last month, last year, this was a while back. I said, Greg, do you like riding your 4-strokes? Oh, yeah. What do you mean, Bart? Why you ask that? And I said, are you ready to go back to 2-strokes? Oh, hell no. I said, is it because you're like me, you got lazy, you're older, you're fat, you just want to be able to roll that? And he goes, nope, has nothing to do with that. I said, so it's not that superb power delivery, it's not the superb handling and suspension of these modern bikes. He goes, nope, has nothing to do with that. He goes, I'm spending less money. I said, okay, you mean you're not buying premix? Nope, it's not even that. I'm not buying rings. I'm not buying pistons. I'm not buying gaskets. I'm not buying spark plugs. He said, I think my 450 is getting ready to turn 3 years old. He said, do you know, I don't even know what the spark plug looks like on that. I don't even know where the spark plug's at. He said, I haven't spent a dime on that motorcycle. And he said, I ain't going back to 2 strokes.
Yeah.
Well, obviously he's lying because he races vintage. But anyway, my tracking of my expenditures with Tyson coming from 50s, 60s, 80s, 125s, 250s, 450s, Talon coming 50s, 60s, 80s, 150s, 125s, 250, 450. I love the fact that Talon is on a 250 and 450 four-stroke because I know the only thing I'm buying is tires and chains and sprockets and brake pads.
Yeah.
We have, in fact... It was embarrassing at the time. I couldn't believe Talon threw me under the bus. We were at Millville not last year. It was the year before. Forkner hadn't signed a contract. They were camping with us, and it was comical to sit back. I had in my pit Pro Circuit and Factory Connection Honda because they were both whining and dining and doing everything they could to get Austin signed.
Yeah.
So the dude that was Bowers' mechanic, they ended up being Austin's mechanic. Ollie, I think is his name.
Okay.
Pretty cool dude. He was hanging out with us most of the time. He was helping Mike with Austin's bike that weekend, and they're sitting around and talking about, hey, I'll, maybe before I leave, I'll freshen the top end, do this, do that. And Town's running his mouth going, God, I wish my dad would freshen my top end. And Ollie's like, well, how often do you guys do it? And Town's like, we don't do it. And he goes, what do you mean you don't do it? And Town's like, yeah, my bike's got 75 hours and my dad hadn't put a piston in it yet. And Ollie looked at him, looked at me, and he goes, is that true? And I said, well, it still starts and runs fine.
Yeah.
I said, I'm busy. I got other things to do. So, on 125s, I can't do that.
No, you can't.
I can't run 75 hours on a piston and ring.
My KTM 450 that I just had, I put 90 hours on the crank, and I was like, I got to replace this thing. Mentally, I wasn't comfortable with it. Replaced it. It was still. I think
in their manual though, it tells you it can go 100 hours.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It's incredible.
It was still within tolerance, and what I thought was going wrong was not. I had the little nut that holds the water pump impeller on. The nut spun off, and so the water pump quit pumping.
So can we throw somebody under the bus?
Go right ahead.
Do you guys not just love Alex Malott?
10 out of 10.
Okay, Ace is maybe 11 out of 10.
Yeah,
he's awesome. I love Ace. So one of the conversations was he was just mother effing Alex's 250F or whatever. Things blown up again. And I always jacked him at some god dang Yamahas and the fact that you're a Moto Guzzi mechanic, you don't even know how to work on them. So anyway, I'm trashing on him big time. He can't get Alex's bike to last a moto. So anyway, he's like, screw it. I'm going back to 2 strokes. Getting rid of the 4-stroke. They made the rules. We can run the 252 stroke in the 250 class. I'm going back to 2 strokes. I said, oh, man, I don't know if I do that. Bull crap. They last forever. I don't have to spend no money on them. Alex comes out with a brand new 2-stroke. I don't know how many weeks he made it, and that damn thing was blowed up too. Yep. And I'm over there giving Ace a hard time about it. He goes, yeah, but God dang it, I can rebuild it in the back of the pickup truck bed on the way home. And, so
it's true. Yeah, I understand what he's saying.
So if you blow one up, I don't care what it is, you're going to blow it up.
Yeah.
I got a ton of other comments on like 2-stroke to 4-stroke argument. The biggest thing that I've learned, not so much at the motocross track, but with my buddies, maybe out on the coolest view out in Colorado, you just cussed, fought, sweated, bullied your way up this nasty trail. You get up to the top, you got the killer view. and you get set down, you maybe crack a cold one, and you're talking about that mother effing trail you just come up. We're never doing that again until we come back next year. And then you start arguing 2-stroke, 4-stroke. Well, my 300 2-stroke did it better than your 350 4-stroke. And you're going back and forth.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the coolest thing about the industry right now, you have so many choices, so many selections, so many different bikes you can ride.
Yeah.
You can, and you named it off the other day. The reasons, the weight, the power, whatever, the 250 works for you, the 252 stroke. And I don't think everybody knows how good we got it right now with the amount of choices there is. It didn't used to be that way. So what you like, what you choose to ride, you can go find it.
For sure.
I'm a Suzuki fan. I'm a Honda fan. They don't make 2-strokes, but by golly, there's plenty of choices there.
Yeah.
And the biggest deal is, the biggest problem to solve is what we got to do to get everybody out racing and not just sitting back
at home on their phone.
Right.
Yeah. I remember my dad repeating a comment that you had made where now it's not only that you're competing with Kawasaki, Yamaha, KTM, but you're also competing with Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, Facebook, Instagram. It's a totally different deal where families are taking on these new expenses that they didn't have years ago whenever it was just mom and dad had the cell phones and they cost $20 a month or arbitrary number. But now, like my nephew, 6 years old, has a cell phone. He's got an iPhone 6. And that's standard issue.
So I have customers that have cell phone bills at their house that was what used to be a handful of dirt bikes, a same payment.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about motocross racing. I'm talking about guys that would load up and go to Lake City and go play around on their dirt bikes for the evening.
Yep.
A lot of that is gone. And what, the amount of PW50 sold is more. This goes back to my charts here. The amount of PW50 sold is more than KTM SX50s. What we have to be able to do, and this is my online forum guys out in California in different areas, when they talk about they used to have motocross teams at high school. The high schools had motocross teams.
Yeah. And
some guys were fortunate enough to ride their dirt bike to school. What do we have to do locally and as a group of people? Where are these kids on the P-dubs? Where's the kids on the CRF 50s? Where's these kids? I don't want, right here it is, a 2018 TC50 50 race bike. It's $4,200.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's probably $40,000.
So why can't we have P-dubs? I don't sell P-dubs. Why can't we? I do sell CRF 50s. What do we got to do to get the families, the kids, drag the kids out, let them chase around and go out, spend $25, $30, go race at Kingsville on their little 50, and we need those people back in it. I don't need the Cobra customer.
No, Mike. You remember whenever we lined up on the original KTM 50, the first year that they made those, there was 20 every weekend.
Yep. PW50s, KTMs, Italjet.
Talked to one of the guys up north, one of the Millville races. They had a huge amount of guys at the 50 track, and a lot of them were the shaft class or what's considered the P-dubs and the CRFs. We don't have that locally. I want that. I want those guys.
Those are lifetime customers.
Not necessarily lifetime, but you get them started at the ground floor. Yeah. And the 50 class is doing kind of okay, but we need, we got to have those young guys coming in.
Yeah, it's through competition and performance, it's going to drive the what it costs to manufacture the motorcycles up, and it kind of excludes a lot of. But I mean, shit. Imagine you could have had this same exact conversation in 1995 about 1977. Probably, where you could look at you could say, well, the bikes cost, this much when they used to cost that much.
True. But what hadn't changed so much is, I think, just the cost of living in general between phones, insurance, a lot of everything else that's changed. Price of the bikes were going up, but you still had a lot of enthusiasts. It was still a little different. But
yeah, lucky for me, I get company insurance now.
There you go.
Before, it was a killer having to pay out of pocket.
Yep.
I had to pay. I actually, at the end of the year, I would pay a fine to the IRS because I didn't want maternity coverage for myself.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Mike, you kind of learned something new about Jeff.
I did.
Every show.
I did.
Yeah. So with
the man bun is actually a ponytail.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew this, Mike, but with the whenever Obamacare was implemented, if you did not have X, Y, and Z on your personal health insurance coverage, then you would get a fine for it at the end of the year.
I am out of touch with the outside world, but not that out of touch. I did know that.
Okay. So
I did avoid the fine.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. See,
you had the pregnancy insurance? Is that what you're saying?
I am fully covered if I get pregnant.
See, now myself, it was what it cost me through my plan. It was a very stitched together base model plan that cost me like $130 a month or so. It was better for me to not pay for that coverage and then pay for the $87 fine at the end of the year versus having to pay an extra $30 a month. So so I essentially saved almost $400
by breaking the rules,
by spending $87. Yeah.
By being the rebel that you are.
Yes. Correct. Guys, we've been going for 3.5 hours. This is going to take forever to export, Bart. I'd love to keep going. We'll have you come back on.
Probably real boring. Yeah. Nobody's going to listen to it this long anyway.
I think you'd be surprised how many people are going to sit here and from start to finish listen to the entire podcast. Yes, absolutely.
All I have to say is while you are blown up on your 250 and your 450 4-stroke won't start, if you ever become an Alta dealer and I can buy a bike from you, I'm going to quietly ride past and wave.
And we won't even hear him.
Nope.
It'll be like a whisper in the wind.
That's right.
Okay. Michael, anything you'd like to say before I hit the no more button?
Fantastic show. Thank you, viewers, listeners. I don't know what we call them. Viewers, listeners, whatever they are.
So can you guys send me a link? I thought I'd like to help out or pitch in on this, but I'm not very computer savvy. So what do you got to do to pitch in and help, like, keep the lights turned on? And
this gentleman,
be an Alta dealer?
Yeah.
No. You've got a real special place that you can donate to,
at patreon.com/overthebars.
Okay. So if everybody goes to donnellsmotorstyles.com and researches what we have in inventory and comes and buys a bike, then maybe I'll, this fabulous studio with, the buffet set out, and
go to Donnell's and mention that you heard it about on the OTB podcast.
Okay, so what about if we did this? What if I said if anybody comes in, needs an inner tube spark plug, whatever, and they mention OTB, and I tell Mikey and Tim, I say, hey, if guys come in and just say OTB, let's give them 25% off.
Oh, wow! I'm on my way.
Now, can I clip this part of the audio and put it at the beginning of the show? Or do they have to wait till the end?
You said everybody listens. I think everybody's bored with it and left.
I think you'd be surprised, Bart.
Okay, so what is it? We're at the 1st of June, kind of?
Yeah.
Month of June.
Okay.
If they come in, hard parts, something in stock, let's do 25% off.
Bam!
That's a good discount.
Make note of that.
Make note of that.
Duly noted.
There it
Thanks,
is.
Bart. We appreciate
they're
that.
They're gonna have to say OTB.
OTB it is.
OTB.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Bart, thank you.
Yeah. Come on again another time. I feel like we could do this for another 3.5 hours.
If you want to be bored, I'll bring more information next time.
Let's do it.
How about this? How about we spread fake news for a couple more podcasts, and then you come on and bring
as long as I can pull service bulletins from 15 years ago, and
I'm not going to lie, that was really impressive.
That was. I'm still impressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to overthebars.com/pay. God, no. We don't. No, I did that back. Patreon.com/overthebars and donate towards the podcast. Do it today. Do it now. Be like all the other Patreon subscribers. Adios.